Mark Video fans, yours truly, Ian Rotten here with you. What you're about to see is probably about 4 hours, I'm going to guess, of one of the best guys in the wrestling business. Guy's been with me since day one, since I opened up IWA Mid-South. Started it off on the first show with Reckless Youth, an incredible match back in the old Kmart building. What you're about to see is a guy that's a credit to the business for the past 20 years. And every time I get an opportunity to have Tracy on one of my shows, I always take it, whether I'm capable of advertising them or not, or just saying, yeah, come on, Trace, because the financial gains of what he teaches the boys in the dressing room and things like that are absolutely incredible. He gives 20 years of experience and truly cares about this business more than most people could ever dream that he actually does after 20 years. So what you're about to see is my very good friend Tracy Smothers. Take a look, sit down, listen, enjoy. You're going to hear some real good stuff. And every once in a while, make sure you got some tissues and stuff, because he's probably going to make you laugh till you cry.
Today we'd like to welcome for a shoot interview the wild-eyed Southern boy, Tracy Smothers. Let's start off at the beginning. How did you break into the business?
It broke me. Growing up, I watched it since I can remember. 5, 6 years old, I grew up watching Nick Goulas. I don't know what, the NWA, I guess it was. He was like Vince McMahon, and on a smaller scale for a long time. Anybody came through there. He had a huge territorial base. Chattanooga, Birmingham, Nashville, Memphis, Louisville. You watched that, you saw that, and you respected what the guys could do. You respected the athletes, and of course it was entertaining. And every Wednesday night, biggest card ever signed. You know what I mean? In Nashville, Tojo Yamamoto and Nick Goulas. But I always wanted to do it. Always loved it. During practice, all through school and sports, we'd just break down and start pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Stomping the foot, everything, you know, all that. And just enjoyed it. And then went to college. I didn't know there was any other wrestling except for Nick Goulas. In Springfield, they didn't have any magazines, and didn't get there. Wrestling magazines didn't get there. If they didn't come through there, they were new. Unlike today, where they're on nationwide TV every week. And I got to college, went on a Dover scholarship for football, wrestling. Played football, wrestled, golf team, baseball in Springfield. Everybody played everything because, I mean, small school. Wasn't that I was any good, you know. But anyway, when I got there, guys had wrestling magazines, and I didn't know who, like Bob Backlund, Superfly Snuka. I didn't know who they were. Dusty Rhodes, you know, had no idea. Bruno Sammartino, you know, any of those guys. I couldn't believe it. And then we would watch in college there, Carson Newman College. We'd watch in the dorm there. We'd watch Georgia Championship Wrestling. Buzz Sawyer on there, the Road Warriors. You guys remember? Yeah, remember that. Well, Tommy Rich, and then. You know, and the list goes on and on. You know, I guess Les Thornton, Ronnie Garvin, all of them. Man, I mean, you were blown away, right? I mean, man, this is cool. You respect the fact that they're athletes. You respect that they were tough guys. Jake the Snake, you know, all that. And guess I'm name dropping. If I can remember sitting there, I'm going, man, I want to do this. And I was in college to be a teacher and a coach. And I wasn't exactly setting the world on fire in sports in college. But it was a lot of fun, and learned a lot, and never really got to travel. And we did, because we'd go in the East Tennessee area, play teams, Carolinas, Virginia, West Virginia, and I liked traveling. And I would always see that on Georgia Championship Wrestling, how they, you know, go to Michigan, how they were doing, they would tour and everything. And I thought, boy, that is cool. Roddy Piper, you know, and it was really cool. Ted DiBiase, all that, you respected them. You knew they were good at what they did, and you knew, you know, that they were tough guys and they were athletes, and that's what I always liked about it. And so school didn't really work out. I went back to Nashville and went to a junior college. And I decided I wanted to play football to walk on to the University of Tennessee and play football. So I weighed 205 in college. I'd eat 5 hamburgers, man. You know what I mean? Just eat like a hog. I would lift heavy weights, everything in the world I could do. I still had wrestling in my mind. Look on TV and look up, and here comes the music, and here Jackie Fargo comes out. I see 2 guys called Steve Kerr and Stan Lane, the Fabulous Ones, right? And they were the hot over thing. They were it. You know what I mean? And get to watching that. I can remember seeing Tommy Rogers, who I can remember from Georgia Championship Wrestling with Tim Horner, you know, Brad Armstrong. But anyway, in that territory there in Tennessee, Tommy Rogers, this is the crew I remember. Fabulous Ones, Tommy Rogers, Bobby Fulton, Carl Fergie, King Carl Fergie, Lawler's cousin, Jerry Lawler, of course, all those guys. Who else? There was King Kong Bundy, Rick Rude, the Grapplers, Lynn Denton, Tony Anthony. You know, what a crew. You watched them and you knew that they were really good. And, that was cool. And it was right there at home, you know. And there's several others. And I can't think of them offhand. But what a crew. A lot of them went on and did real well. Dutch Mantell, of course. Bill Dundee. And those guys that you knew, and you grew up watching Dundee, Lawler, you know, and Jackie Fargo, you know, and Steve and Stan were the hot thing, and they really were. So I'd go to American Fitness Gym, and I'd see some of the wrestlers. I'd see Bill Dundee, I'd see the Fabulous Ones, I'd see Carl Fergie and Bobby Fulton, Barbarian, Big Barbarian, not John Nord, yeah. The other one, Big Barb. See him. He talked to him, conversation, you know, and all that. And then, but my dad knew Jerry Jarrett. My dad was in the car business, still is. And him and Jerry Jarrett became friends. And Jerry Jarrett was going to buy a car dealership, and my dad run it for him. And of course, I knew who Jerry Jarrett was. My dad come home and told me about it, and said that. I said, man, I know who that is. And my dad mentioned it to me because he told him about me. And knew how much I liked it, but my dad didn't want me to get into it. And he's probably right, but, you know. But anyway, and I was like, yeah, heck yeah, man. And he said Steve Kerr and Stan Lane had a school, so I bugged those guys. I went to school, like I said, at Vol State, and I would go on Saturdays and Wednesdays to the fairgrounds, and because I'd see them at the gym, and I talked to them about training me, and they were real busy. You know what I mean? They were on a roll, and they were making good money, and they were working 6-7 days a week. And the only days they could do it was Sunday morning. I bugged them for about a year, Steve Kern especially, and I really did. And finally, they started training me, and I worked out with them 5 times. We'd go for about 5 hours, and he had a few guys in there and run us to death, squats, push-ups, I mean, hitting the ropes, everything. But they really taught me a lot of little things, and trained with them for a while. But 5 times, I'm telling you, from about 7 in the morning to about 1 in the afternoon. And I only got in there with them that time. Then they had the falling out with Lawler when Steve's wife had a baby. And he couldn't make Louisville. And they walked out and they went work for Vern. So that was tough on me. And I was ready to go, you know, young, dumb, and, you know, and just ready, you know, really want it bad. I got out of school and went, you know, and to pursue wrestling, pro wrestling. And they gave me a list of the promoters and the addresses to send. Back then, you didn't have VCR tapes. You just sent a picture, and you wrote your resume down, and you sent it to all. I sent one to Don Owens, Portland, Oregon. Sent one to Vern Gagne. Sent one to Vince McMahon Sr. and Eddie Graham, Harley Race, Bob Geigel, Fritz von Erich, Dallas, the Fullers, and Armstrongs, and Continental, and of course right there where I was at in Tennessee, Knoxville, I think the Poffos still had that, Randy Savage, Lanny, and Angelo. Dick the Bruiser had Indianapolis. Dino Bravo, Rick Martel had Montreal, Quebec. Bearman was in Nova Scotia. The Stu Hart, of course, the Hearts. and even to Japan, New Japan, All Japan. That was it in Japan then, and nobody gave me a job. But they said, you got to have experience. I said, well, God, how can I get experience if I can't get in the ring? How you gonna do it, right? You know, so I didn't know. I didn't have a clue, and still don't, I don't think, but I don't know. But anyway, you know, did that and really sent it out, you know what I mean? I remember going to the post office that day and sending that out, and there's probably more. There was a lot of places, there was a lot of jobs in. There really was. It was regional territories. Vince had just started going nationwide. He was getting ready to go nationwide. And so I went up and worked. Where did I get booked? I worked at a skating rink, and I got paid $5. I did. But my first match I ever had, I rode with Steve and Stan to the towns a few times. And I would ride with them and listen to them in the back. And it was Greek to me, what they were saying, a lot of it, but I would take it in and listen to them. I rode with them a few times, and then Steve Kern calls me up and says, hey, he goes, you got any tights yet? And I said, well, no, I've ordered them, they're coming. He said, well, I think I got you a match. I said, no way, man. You know, like, all right. It was Columbia, Kentucky, first match I ever had. And I rode up with those guys. I was so nervous, man. I threw up, you know, after I got, you know what I mean? I used to get real nervous when I played sports because I'd be fired up and wanting to go. And I think, wait a minute now, you ain't like that here. Trying to learn how to work. I didn't have a clue. I've been in the ring 2 times, you know, and so I'm all pumped up. I'm in the ring. I'll never forget this. And I'd seen the guy that I was fixing to work with in the gym. I'd seen him like lifting heavy weights. He was doing inclines with 405. He got a few reps out of it. You know what I mean? Close grip, 315, Barbarian, 1983. I remember that. And I was standing there, and I remember some kid. I had on singlet tights, and they were falling off of me because they were too big for me. You know, and I was all fire right there. And you know, and you didn't back then. You didn't want to pull your straps down. That's Jerry Lawler. You were screwed. You were screwed. It was over. You know, you didn't even think about it. But they kept falling off of me. I kept trying to pull them up, and I was like there, but I was like going, God, man, I'm gonna kick his ass, you know. And I honestly, he wasn't called Barbarian, and he was called King Konga. And I didn't know who he was, and I seen him walk out, and guy goes to me, he goes, hey, you're gonna get your ass kicked. I went, not by you. I kept. Well, before that, I would go, when I was in college, we went down to Omni, and I tried to slam King Kong Bundy. Remember when he did that slam contest? I tried to slam him in Marietta. Yeah, I did. Jeff Carmer, my buddy, we went to the Omni, and then they was in Marietta, and I did it, and I wouldn't do it there, and he was getting married. Guy I played football with in college, and he was getting married, and his bachelor party, he wanted to go to wrestling. I said, why do you want to go to wrestling on your bachelor party? He did, though, he did. It's me, Tim Donahue, and Jeff Carmen. So Jeff wanted to slam Bundy. He wanted to slam him. He didn't try it on Omni. He tried it in Marietta. It was one of them times, there was a few weeks, but his bachelor party, he tried to slam Bundy. That was what he wanted to do. King Kong Bundy. He did. Because I can remember Bob Armstrong and Brad worked with the Road Warriors that night in Marietta. The hometown sold out, Cobb County Civic Center. I remember that. And so at intermission, you guys know who Nick Patrick is, right? The referee. Well, he was doing the slam thing. You could tell he was pissed. So Jeff, or if you guys went and tried to do it, I like milked it, and I don't know. I was like, you know, like doing this and all that. I didn't know what to do. I mean, in high school wrestling, me and Jeff Chapman, we'd play around and do pro wrestling. All the guys were stretching, work outfits, go out there and shoot, which I didn't know what we called shoot then was. And we'd go all over the bleachers and everything, man, just everything. No psychology, nothing, headbutt. I was a heel. And we do it in college, too. We deal with the dorm, all the football players. Me and this guy named Roy Stone would do it. He'd do interviews, and he loved Dick Slater. You know what I mean? He loved Dick Slater, and I loved Buzz Sawyer. You know, and I'd imitate everybody. I'd have a clue what I was doing. We'd have a blast and do it. And, you know, and like I said, on the mat, I know I get off on track on that when I do it. So I'm standing in the ring. I've never been in the ring in a lot. That was great, man. You know, it was cool. And I turned around and trained. I got heat. You know what I mean? I got heat. I turned around and went fire right there. I said, come on. And I was challenging people, you know, because I always wanted to be, you know, of course, I didn't know what a heel was then. Bad guy, you know, and Nick Patrick got mad at me. I told him about that years later in WCW, and I tried to slam him. Of course, I couldn't budge him, and he goes, get out of here. Bundy did, right? He goes, you going to do anything, or are you going to slam me, big boy, like that, right? And I looked, and I went, yeah, that's right, buddy. You know, I did it around like that. I go, you got it. I did Hulk's thing, you know what I mean? He just got going. You know, he did the Rocky movie, and he got the, you know, took the belt off of Kaz and everything. Anyway, couldn't slam him, of course, but I was hooked, man. I was hooked. Oh yeah. And so I'm in the ring right there, and you talking about your heart going to your knees. You see this guy come in the ring. Man, well, God, I'll just keep my ears open, mouth shut, and I'll listen to him. I screwed up everything. Worst match in captivity. Horrible, 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 horrible. He tried to work with me. He tried. He did. He did his best, but you just couldn't do it. You couldn't make chicken salad out of chicken shit then. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just as simple as that. You couldn't do it. I screwed up everything, you know. And you talking about down. And I got back to the dressing room, and I can remember Ricky Morton. And he goes, "How'd it go?" He said they were getting ready to go to Louisiana to get their big break down there for Bill Watts with Cornette, Midnight Express, and everything. And they were like the middle team. They hadn't been together long as a team. And Ricky Morton goes, "How'd it go?" And I went, I said, "I'll never learn this." Just like that, I said, I screwed up everything imaginable. I said, I will never be booked again. Like that. And I said, I looked about as bad as you possibly could. I was just sitting there, you know, you tried and worked so hard, and you knew you wasn't prepared, you wasn't ready, and you were trying, but you didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? You didn't know what to do. And I thought that was it. I thought, God, I was like, I quit college, everything. I says, man, Ricky looked at me and goes, "Hey, don't worry about that. I've been going through that for 10 years. It's like that. Like that, you know, something. That's what he said to me, and I just looked at him and I thought, he said, "It's always tomorrow." I said, "You think there will be?" He goes, "Somebody book you. Just keep trying." Just like that. I just remember that. That helped me so much, and it wasn't maybe 20 seconds. And I was like, all right, cool. Steve and Stan just said, "Hey, yeah, keep plugging." See, they had some differences with Jerry Lawler, and you know, whatever their thing was their thing. But sometimes in the business and in life itself, you're guilty by association. Well, it got bad reports to Lawler, and you know, he's not going to book me. You know what I mean? It wasn't going to happen. That was it. You know, because I did. It was horrible. I wouldn't book me either. You know, so I wouldn't have after that either. So I went that's when I went skating rink. I didn't know, you know. I used to come down there, and I worked in the ring with this boy. I can't remember his name, Enforcer or something, I don't know, Assassin or something like that. And he started, like, shooting on me, I guess we'd say. Now he punched me in the jaw he punched me, I mean, he nailed me a few shots. And I was trying to work, I was trying to learn. Dressed in a bathroom, Mark's coming in there, you know what I mean, kids skating and everything, you know. They really were. And I remember that, and I'm going, I don't know about this. But in the ring, I remember that. He started shooting on me, and I just beat him up. I didn't know what else to do. I just beat him up. I just did what I had to do. I punched him out. And next thing I knew, a few guys hit the ring, and I beat them up too. I did. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know. The guys hit the ring. Nobody told me nobody's hitting the ring. And he came in on me. He didn't work with me at all. And you just do what you got to do, right? That's how it is. And about 3 or 4 guys hit, and man, I punted them. Because Steve Kern told me, so he hits the ring. I didn't know if they were marks. I didn't know if they were the boys. Actually, they were marks. They were in the dressing room. You know what I mean? But that happened right there, and I thought, well, I'm done again. Brother paid me $5. Give me an envelope. Come out of the ring. He paid me. He goes, "Come back." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." So I went back 2 or 3 more times. I went to Shoney's, and they had me a big boy and fries. That's what I had. Went to work next morning. I worked my first 3 years in the business, loading trucks at a company called Wedgwood Industries that makes stoves for campers, stuff like that. I load trucks, tow motor, everything, do that, and just think about wrestling all day. When that happened with Barbarian, I remember he headbutted me that one shot. I know I get off on track here, but he headbutted me. He rocked me good. I think that was my first concussion. I think actually I had a few in football. Didn't really remember. But anyway, I screwed up the tow motor, and I did about $5,000 of damage to it. I did, man. I messed that thing all up. Next day, I didn't know. I was distraught. I was not goofy. I didn't know where I was at. And then that happened with the skating rink, you know, and I'm going, man. And then they told me to come to Gallatin. And this guy, I can't remember his name, he was in a wheelchair. And went there, and pretty much the same thing. And I tried to get along. I mean, can we all just get along? You know what I mean? Ain't much to ask. And the guys wouldn't work with me. And the guy tried to take me down, and he didn't get it done. And I didn't get paid because I beat up his boy. But I had no choice. You know, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. But I remember that. And I didn't get paid. And they said, "Yeah, call me tomorrow." And then he said, "Check's in the mail." He goes, "I took my address." He said, "And call me tomorrow." And he said, "Yeah, the check will be in the mail tomorrow." Of course, I didn't, you know. And I wanted my money. and I didn't know what I was going to get. But then a guy down there told me, I can't remember his name, but he told me, he said, come to Lebanon, Tennessee at a TV taping. He said, George Gouis, Nick Gouis is behind it, but he had signed that when he sold his territory, or Jerry took it, or whatever went on there. You know, I don't know. He said, come down there, it's a TV taping, and talk to Gypsy Joe and Tojo Yamamoto. He said, Gorgeous George Jr.'s there, Tommy Higgy's there, and I said, Gorgeous George Jr.? He goes, yeah, Tojo and Gypsy. I said, all right, cool, man. So, yeah, I said, I'll be there. So I get down there, and told them who trained me, Steve Kerr and Stan Lane, and Tojo and Gypsy went off in the office, and they came back, and, and they said, yeah, we like your look. Says, you know, says, you look like a nice guy, humble guy, and you wanna do this. And Tojo and Gypsy looked at me both about the same. They said, do you want to do this? And I said, yeah, I want to do this. I'm down there playing ping pong. I wasn't being a smart aleck, you know what I mean? I said, yeah, I want to do this. I took off work today. You know, I didn't know, you know, like that, right? And he says, okay. He goes, we're going to call you Steve Lane. I just like went, you know, Steve Kerr and Stan Lane, right? And I went, okay. So I went, okay, hey, whatever. You can call me Art, Bart, and Fart. I don't care. You know, am I working today? You all right? You know what I mean? And he said, yes, great. So I screwed up there big time. I did. But they put me with Gorgeous George Jr. It was the first partner I ever had. No, I'll take that back. Tojo Yamamoto was the first partner I ever had. And he knew this business up and down. Boy, he did. He did. He knew how to get heat as a heel. He knew how to get over as a babyface, and he drew a lot of money. He really did, and I would ride with him, and I learned a lot riding with him. Tojo was pretty shrewd guy. He didn't mess around, and learned a lot from him. Then it did a thing there where we were doing an interview, and I kept interrupting. Imagine that. And he turned heel on me. Gypsy juiced me. You know what I mean? And I guess this is a shoot interview, so it don't matter. I'm sure they all know, right? Eddie Mansfield actually had already done it, Expose the Business. You guys remember that? Yep. Oh, I've been working a few months. I thought, oh, it's over. I quit college, everything. Everybody thought the business was over. Now they expose it. I mean, you know. But anyway, because it was always like everybody was really down. I remember that. And I thought that it was over. And guys, that was their dream to do. It's like a magician. There's no magic. But you know they're not magic. You know how they did it. Then the guy exposed magic. Anyway, did that, gigged me, and he took care of me. But I bled like a stuffed hog, and did that. And then they put me with Gorgeous George. We worked with Tojo and Gypsy, and I learned a lot there. And just followed Gorgeous George, and that was cool. That was really cool. But just learned a lot about ring psychology. And then they put me with Tommy Higgy. Still worked with Tojo and did that. I worked for them I kept my job, and I worked for them every weekend. Tojo would take me to Tupelo, Mississippi on Fridays. And I can remember going there, and he'd say, don't tell Nick, George Gouis. Because Tojo worked for different people other than George. And you'd hardly ever see Nick. And I can remember being in Tupelo, and we worked a tag that night. And this good story is true, too. And we got done. We were through working, and I went one or two times. Tojo gave me $50. I'd get $25 for Nick Gouis, and then Tojo go, as you get over, your money get better. And I went, okay, you know, like that. But anyway, I gave him $50. I went, cool, man. All right, you know, I'm jamming, and you know, and we worked there 2 or 3 times. I could tell kind of jealousy with the guys because Tojo. Back then, he jumped back and forth with the Gouises and the Jarretts kind of, but he was kind of getting ready to go back with them, I think, and a lot of guys knew it, and they were trying to get, you know, and talking to him, trying to get in, you know, and all that, and I was riding with him, and he would never let me drive because I was the worst driver in the business. But anyway, and I can remember we were waiting to get our money, and the guys in the ring were working, big black-headed guy, big blonde-headed guy, and the guy working as a heel actually started really arguing with the guy that was his manager. You know what I mean? He really did. So the guy run up to us and he says, and I remember this is true too, and you know, he says, hey, he goes, Tojo, he goes, I'll give you $100 if you kick his ass. The blonde-headed guy in the ring. And I just looked and I went, I told you, let's get our money and get out of here, man. It's 250 miles, you know what I mean? I got work morning, you know. I work Monday through Saturday, and it's Friday night, you know. And so he told you it goes 200, 100 for me, 100 for him, and we'll do it. I went, what are you doing, man? You know what I mean? Come on, I said, we don't need this. Let these guys don't have a clue. I mean, you told me they don't know, you know what I mean? I said, I ain't not gonna tell you, let's go home, man. I don't want to fight. You know, like that. He says, and the next thing I knew, the blonde-headed guy started yelling at me, going off. I mean, they just stopped working. It's a little place in Tupelo that Jarrett's used to run on Friday nights. Smoky building, just what you picture. Herman somebody, the promoter, I can't remember his name. He died a few years back. Next thing I know, I'm in the ring, and I just tackled that guy, and I beat his ass. I didn't have no, you know, I was just a young guy. God, I forgot about the money when he said all that. He just started cussing me out and going off on me and all that, and I just like, what? Next thing I knew, there we were, you know. And I can remember this guy, Herman, coming from ringside, come in the ring and grabbed me by my hair, and Tojo took that shoe and clocked him and hit him right in the temple. And blood just went everywhere. It hit him right in the nose, and I thought he killed him. I really did. And I stopped, and I can remember that. And I just like freaked. I went, oh, God, Tojo. And the people went nuts, rioted right there. Fought my way back to the back. The boys were mad at me. Tojo laughing. I loved it. He loved it, man. He loved it. He goes, you dumb son of a gun, man. You'll never make money. You dumb son of a gun. You don't know how to work the people. You think everything's a shoot. I go, I guess. God, I'm fighting for my life. Oh, come on, Tojo. Get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language, you know? Like that, right? So, Tojo goes, okay, I'll meet you in the car. We were in my car. And no, he was in his car. And he has a back way out. He didn't smart me up how to get out of that building. So I went through the people right here, and I fought my way to the car. I did. I mean, back then I fought, man. I was getting nailed, and I was there, and I was ducking and what, and it was just crawling and everything else. And I was punching guys. I was legged out, trying to take their knees out. I was biting them. Anything I could do, I did. I got to the car, and I just like told him my damn shirt was ripped off of it. I mean, it looked like an angle. You know what I mean? You know, it did. I'm not kidding you. I mean, that's the truth. I was scared to death. I was crying. I was 21 years old, you know what I mean? You know, and I'm going, my God, what have I got to do? I'm in the car. I'm just in there just going, God, Tojo's laugh and mess with me the whole way home. You old dumb son of a gun, man. You don't know how to work. You won't last 10 minutes in this business. Oh, my God. You know, and he loved it. He loved it. You know, he did. He loved it. And about 150 miles in when I was saving out of it, I thought, man, that was fun. But I thought, God, Tojo, I'm going to get killed, man. You know, he goes, I'm such and such place. They want you back next week. I said, you out of your mind. I ain't going back there. So he called me, and I get back to work, and, you know, and I didn't want to work that job the rest of my life. I wanted to wrestle. And he paid me $50. So that's 2 or 3 times I went. He goes, he told me to give me $150. I went, no way. He goes, yeah. He goes, because the guys, they went around town, and it really got, you know, riot, you know, and they said it's going to draw a big crowd, pay $150. You can sell your pictures. So I went back. I said, yeah, I'm there. Took my car, went by myself, went back, went in there, and I couldn't dress with the boys because they were actually really mad at me because they're all local guys working around the town, and the blonde-headed guy and the black-headed guy. And the blonde-headed guy was who I was working with. And I took this old trick Tojo said, the pictures back in were $1 a piece. And this is no lie. And he says, get some kid, if you can buy your pictures and walk up to you, tear them up in front of the people. Get somebody. I got one of the promoter's son, I think it was, that Herman guy's son or grandson or something. And he tore up 3 or 4 of them. And I'd get mad, and it was roped off, you know. I was hitting the walls, headbutting while I was going off like this. So people buy your pictures, and I made a couple $100 on pictures. For me, I was like, all right, cool. And then when I got in the ring, and I thought I was going to win at work, and this guy just tore into me. I mean, he come after me. So, you know, I got out of the ring. I got out of the ring right there because I wasn't really prepared to fight. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm going to lock up, and the guy's coming. I mean, he ran like he was going to work, and he tried to sucker punch me. And I backed out, and I got almost, I guess, like a heel. But I thought, I gathered myself, and I went, whoa. And I felt something on my leg, and this crazy bitch poured gas on me, and the guy tried to burn me. And I'm not lying either. He really did. And I just like went like that right there. Back then, they would do things. People, you know, they would really do that. People pull knives on you, guns in the, I mean, they wait on you in the parking lot. They destroy people's cars. Tojo told me stories you wouldn't believe. I seen Tojo take a kendo stick and fight two guys in a Corvette. You know, and I was asleep because I was working my job. I woke up and saw Tojo on the side of the road going like a samurai, you know, and dude, I like, Tojo, you need any help? And he was having fun, man. So he'd take his Lincoln then, because he had the tinted windows, because he had that little Honda we'd go in, so people couldn't see him. I mean, he had that much heat. He really did. And that's the truth. And but anyway, I felt that. I went, that pissed me off like you just wouldn't believe. And if it wasn't a woman, I would have punched him right in the nose, you know. But you know, and our husband was over one trying to like throw the fire on me. That matches, just throwing it right there. You know, you're just going, God. And he did that. Next thing I knew, I'm in the ring, and that happened. And I pinned him for a shoot. You know what I mean? You know, just pinned him, just like it's a fight. I mean, that was it. Went back to the dressing room, and I just destroyed the dressing room. I was just really pissed off, really pissed off. I went out of the door, and people were waiting on me right there, that same door. I knew that it was back. I didn't care. I really didn't care. I really didn't care if I lived or died. I was really mad. And a guy caught me with a stick right here, and I cracked my ribs. And I got a big lump on there right now. I've had that since then. It's calcium, fatty, or calcium deposit built up from that. And I couldn't breathe, you know, and I was just fighting to get to the car, and I was crying. And you know, I was scared, but it was kind of fun. I guess you could say that. I mean, it was. I just thought that's the way it was. I didn't know, you know, I wasn't know what you'd say the big time. You would call it. You thought degenerates, that was the big time. You're trying to get there, and guys were jealous because Steve and Stan trained you. You know what I mean? You know, and had that name Steve Lane. You know, like that. Well, I get in my car, and I no sooner pulled out the parking lot, and I got through a big rock right through my window. Right through my window, man. I drove 250 miles, and it was under 40 degrees with my windshield busted out. And so I'm going out of town. I see one of them guys. I recognize him guy, and he's up on the sidewalk, and I run his sorry ass all over that place. He was running, and I was just flipped. Hit a donut, and I gone. I thought, I'll never come back to Tupelo. That happened. Get back, and I was hooked. I loved it. And I'd go bug 80, and I kept working for the Jarretts. Kept working with Gypsy, with Tojo, and with Gorgeous George Jr. And New York Doll. I don't know, he's Bill Smith. And he ended up being one of the Moondogs. Was Larry Latham's partner, one of his partners. And that clicked. I wanted to learn how to work. I wanted to learn how to survive and not get killed. And I'd go. Then that kind of Tojo went back to work for Jerry Jarrett. So I'd go bug Eddie Marlin every week at the fairgrounds, every Saturday. I just quit trying to get booked on Saturdays. I thought I ain't gonna get anywhere unless I get here, because these other places I'm gonna get killed. You know, because there wasn't many independents and outlaws then, and they were. It was really dangerous. Guys would fight in the dressing room, pull knives on each other. It really was, and it wasn't good. And so I bugged him every week, and he says, well, he goes, you got the look. He goes, you definitely got the intestinal fortitude, because you bug me every week. So I bugged him for about 6 weeks. And he said, look, he goes, call me Monday. He goes, I think I got you booked in Union City, Tennessee, Martin, Tennessee, Martin, where UT Martin is. And I said, okay, great. So I called him, and I thought, that's it. He's going to blow me off, because he kept, you know, talking to me, and he took the time, too. Took me in the dressing room. Nobody talked. Tojo did. Tojo took me in the dressing room. Jerry Jarrett sitting there, Eddie Marlin sitting there, Tommy Rich is over here, and him and Rick Morton playing cards. And I walked in, first thing I thought, why are they playing cards? You know, I pictured, like, you know, sports. You know what I mean? You prepare for a game, you know, and I'm going, what are they doing? They bell ring, they go right in the ring. Didn't stretch, didn't do anything. You know what I mean? They didn't care. Hey, hold my hand right there. I'll be right back. Oh, no, I got you, man. You know what I mean? Like that. And so Tojo goes, yeah. He introduced me to Jerry Jarrett, and Eddie Marlin was, of course, already. And he goes, Eddie, Jerry, I tell you, this kid right here, his lockup is bad, his headlock is bad, his work is very bad, he's crazy, he won't listen sometimes, he said he does everything wrong. I mean, he just ran me down for about that, but he was right. And I just sit there and I'm looking at it, because I thought he was going to put me over. I thought he was going to try to help me get a job, but he just told him basically that he did. And he just sat there and knocked me for about 10 minutes and buried me. And I just looked and I went, I can remember just going, you know, you're sitting there, you're hearing all it, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, I can't put my hand on it because my mouth was just dropping. You know, I'm going, God, what is he doing? He's trying to get me hurt. You know, I'm done. And Jerry just looking me up and down, like looking through me. You know what I mean? Looking, and I'm just standing there, and I'm just wanting to cry, man. You know what I mean? I thought, God, he just buried me. Very bad. He's the shit. Dumb son of a gun. Don't listen. Fights all the time. Trouble. Thinks this business is a shoot. Never learn how to work. Never make money. Never draw a dime. Just really kept on going. But I actually Tojo liked you if he did that. I'm telling you, he didn't put nobody over. He didn't like ice cream. Him or Gibson. They really didn't. They really didn't. They really didn't. I mean, that's the way the old timers were. Yeah, you learned. They wouldn't give. You know, you walked in, you shook everybody's hand in the dressing room. You better. You know, it ain't like, you know, it's the way it needs to be. It's respect. And you sat over in the corner and you kept your mouth shut. You kept your ears open, your mouth shut. So we did that, and they got done, and I looked, and I just like went, well, I guess I'm in, huh? Like that. And I just looked at Jerry. I just laughed, and he goes, well, Eddie's gonna sponsor show. This is Jerry. He goes, Eddie's gonna sponsor show, Martin, Tennessee. Yeah, I can remember that. And he said, you know, we can get you on that. Just like that, kind of like that. And I can't remember if I called Eddie and did that. Jerry Jarrett said that somewhere in there. I can't remember. I remember being told that. And I was like, all right, great. We'll go there to work. It's a 200-mile drive, and I'm by myself. And I work with Kurt Von Hess. And Dutch Mantell was there, and I can remember Dutch telling me how horrible my interviews were, my work were on Jerry Jarrett or on George Goulis or Nick Goulis TV. And Rufus R. Jones, remember him? Freight train, Rufus R. Jones, 3 freight trains ahead, but was there. And he was a nice guy, and Dutch was just ribbing on me, just cutting on me bad. He was right. I couldn't even laugh, man. I couldn't. Actually, I got a little mad, but I didn't want to show it. And and of course, Kurt Von Hess wasn't a good work. I hate to say that, but he didn't let me work. He didn't work with me, and he made me look like crap. Which, you know, here we go again. Second match I ever worked for them, and it was awful, awful. So I got back to Lawler, wouldn't book me again. You know, I kept bugging them, kept working. I worked anywhere I could work. Anybody that'd use me, Goulis and them, anybody. And Steve and Stan came back from working up there with the Road Warriors and those guys. Came back from that run, and then they got me in, got me booked. Tom Ernesto was booker. Tom Ernesto was Jody Hamilton's partner, the original Assassins. He was the booker, and he liked me okay, and he booked me, and I worked my job and did that anywhere. My boss knew that's what I wanted to do was wrestle. I worked anywhere 2 to 5 times a week. I did that until February of '86. Dundee came from Louisiana, working for Bill Watts, and because I'd always bug him and try to get down there when he'd come in town. He'd come in the dressing room and he goes, I talked to Bill Watts today, and he wants you, and you. It was in Blytheville, Arkansas. We used to work in a boxing ring, you know what I mean? Oh, God. And then do TV. And he pointed to Coco Ware, Billy Travis, and me. And I said, hey, I'll go now, man. You know, like that, right? And he goes, well, I'll give him a call. And actually, they wanted Billy and Coco. And Billy didn't want to go. They had plans for Billy, and he didn't want to go. So I ended up getting to go in February of '86. And I got to go to the bathroom. Can we take a break?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first full-time. I worked 3 years part-time, whatever I could pick up. First full-time job. Started in '83, was in '86, Mid-South for Bill Watts. Go Nashville to Memphis, stayed with my cousins, got up next morning, had cut through Texarkana, went on the back road to Shreveport. I was there the first night, stopped in Plain Dealing, Louisiana, and I get no McDonald's, nothing for a long time, you know what I mean, anything. And I stopped at a store to get one of them Cadillac sandwiches, a couple of those, got my car packed down, do a TV, and, you know, clothes in it and everything, just loaded down. Guy wants $10 from me, black guy. And I says, he wants to borrow $10. I says, hey, he gonna pay me back, man. I'm going to Louisiana like that. And he goes, just give me your money, man. Try to hold me up. He ain't had no gun on him or nothing. And then he tried to jump me. He tried to rush me. So, you know, I mean, that happened. I was right outside the store, man. I beat him up, and I had to. I had no choice. And I threw him over in a trash can. I did. And I got in a car, and I wheeled it off and spun gravel all over in it, and I was mad, man. And go and work. I think, oh yeah, I'm tough, right? Well, you know, and I get there and I hear the car going down there, and what a crew they had: Buzz Sawyer, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Jim Duggan, Terry Taylor, Dick Slater, Dick Murdoch, Mass Superstar, Bill Eady, Eddie Gilbert, Ted DiBiase, you know what I mean? You know, guys like that, and you're going, whoa. You know what I mean? This is no joke here. This was cool. So go there, and first night was Shreveport. Buzz Sawyer, Dr. Death, Steve Williams was a young man then, and boy, he was an animal. And I watched him press Buzz 5 reps. Buzz Sawyer, a great worker. You know, remember watching Eddie Gilbert and Terry Taylor have a hell of a match. Jake Roberts was getting ready to go to WWF, but place chant DDT, he was the only one did it. You know what I mean? Place chant, it was sold out, and he was the hottest babyface they had, and Vince knew that. And I can remember Austin Idol speaking this about Vince, and when he started Nationwide, he said what he's doing is in all the territories. He's taking all the top guys out of there. Then he runs their territory and beats them with his guys, and he makes them what he wants. It won't be long, he'll have it all, which now he does. But all those, you know, guys that ended up going there. But I remember that, and that was starting to happen because they'd already took Junkyard Dog out of there, and Rock and Roll already went to Charlotte, and they were having a good run there. That was doing real good, and that was kind of going down. And worked there 6 months, 5-7 days a week. DJ Peterson, God rest his soul, used to travel with him. Carl Fergie, traveled with Terry Taylor a lot. Learned a lot from them. Learned a lot from Terry Taylor traveling with him. Real smart guy, really with it. And I just listened. A lot of it is Greek, and I just listened. And travel was, you know, long trips, everything. And got to work with Buzz Sawyer a few times. One time at a house show, he made me look good. TV title match for 10 minutes, and that's very hard to do, to make me look good, you know. But I worked a lot with, actually back in Tennessee too, before that, the Sting and Ultimate Warrior. Worked with them like their second or third match. You know, worked with them a lot there. And then they ended up coming to Louisiana, worked with them a lot there. Ricky Gibson, Robert Gibson's brother, partners with him. Brett Sawyer, you know, and got to work with Dick Slater. Got to work with Eddie Gilbert a few times. He went about 30 minutes with me, which was impossible. I needed oxygen. But he was a great worker. Learned a lot from him. Tommy Gilbert used to travel with him a lot too. He was a referee, Eddie's father, and learned a lot. He helped me in the ring. Carl Fergie, and you know, you do that whole territory. Houston every 2 weeks, Tulsa every 2 weeks, Shreveport once a month, Alexander once a month, Louisiana, Lafayette, New Orleans every 2 weeks, Baton Rouge every 2 weeks, Jackson, Mississippi about once a month, Little Rock. That was just a territory, one end of the world or the other, they'd say. And I learned a lot, and for me, made good money. I was underneath, and that started fading out. Ken Mantell came in, brought a lot of the guys from Texas, brought Freebirds, and John Tatum, Missy Hyatt, Missy and Eddie hooked up from there. I remember that. And who else? Yeah, anyway, brought that crew out. I saw that going, you know, and I saw that going down. I got staph infection from Sting. He had staph real bad. He thought he just would shave down, and he got staph, and I worked with him somewhere, and I got it from him. So I called around. Brett Sawyer tried to get me booked with Portland with Don Owens, and nice guy. And he goes, well, he goes, you look good, Ken. He goes, yeah, you like to bring you in, but I got a lot of guys here, and I can't get them booked nowhere. Because back then, promoters would swap talent. Now they steal talent. You know what I mean? They work together. They didn't necessarily drink a beer together, but they work together. They didn't go out of their territorial boundaries. Vince was starting to do it, you know, and couldn't get in there. Then Kansas City, Bob Geigel and Bob Brown, Bulldog Bob Brown, talked to them guys. And Bob Brown says, well, you look good. He goes, yeah, I heard good things about you from Brett. He said, we'd like to bring you in. So I'll talk to Harley Monday. Well, Monday, Harley Race went to WWF. Went to work for Vince. And back then, he was in WA. You know what I mean? You know, he was still, you know, and you couldn't believe that. You really couldn't. And that was a big shock. So anyway, I went back to Tennessee. So if you want to ask me a question about certain people, you know.
Back in for Mid-South, what are your opinions on, or what were your thoughts on Bill Watts?
Bill Watts?
Boss?
It's a nut. But he was real strict, boy. He'd fine guys if they were late. He called it the Bill Watts Retirement Fund. He didn't want you watching the matches where the people could see you. He'd fine you for that. He'd fine, like I said, being late. You dressed appropriately, not that you had to wear a shirt, you know, really not. You dressed like a professional. He was a hard-nosed guy, looked at it like a football team, you know, really loved football, loved shooters, loved big guys. His TV was top-notch. He was real strict on his TV. he ran it to it. The economy went down there, events and all that, and that was the downfall of that. But learned a lot from him. Learned a lot from the way he did things. Learned a lot from all of them that I worked for, and the way that everybody has their different way of doing business and what they do. He ran that territory and did great business for a long time. So I was glad to get to work there for the 6 months I did. And with the crew he always had a top-notch crew, and so I mean he was very successful businessman now. I know his son Eric and his other son actually would have been a great worker in this business and would have been a stud. He broke his neck playing football. I mean, I can remember that. And he had his own plane, man. He did his own plane. He'd come into Houston with it sometimes. He had a private plane out of Bixby, Oklahoma there. And he didn't take no stuff from nobody. But I respect him.
Just some thoughts on some other guys in the territory. About Dick Murdoch.
First time I met Dick Murdoch. You guys ever heard that story about Sting and Dick Slater getting in a fight? Well, that happened anyway. First time I met Dick Murdoch, we was in there, and after that all happened, and the guys broke it up and everything, and all that. Dick Murdoch was standing there, and he looked and he goes, playing cards, and out of nowhere he just looked and he goes, "What's your name, kid?" "Cat." And I told him my name. He goes, "The girl's name." Just like that. And I said, "Yeah, Cat." And he goes, "What's your last name?" I said, "Smothers." He goes, "Smothers Bros, you ken Smothers?" I went, "No." I said, "I'm not." And he goes, "We need to. They're over." Like that. I was like that. And I looked and I said, "Well, they get canceled all the time." And he goes, "Well, at least they got a job." Just like that. He just did that and went back to playing. But I never got to work with him there. But used to watch him a lot. And they had him and Bill Eadie together as partners. Classic. Dick, I was in Japan with him 31 days. Him and Bob Orton Jr. Never drank in my life. 1988. Second time I ever went. And it was an alcoholic time it was over. They had sponsors everywhere in Japan. They come find me, man. They had a nose for me. They'd find me. They'd get in my maids to open the room to the front desk, whatever, because I'd hide from them. And they get me drunk every night. Had me eating fried. Had me eating ostrich. Had me eating monkey. Had me eating all kind of stuff, man. These guys, they tell me what they eat. They have fried octopus and stuff like that, and I get sick, man. They get me drunk. I get sick. It was fun, and I had a great time, But he was a classic guy. Dick Murdoch was something else. When he wanted to, he was one of the best ever. He really was. And in Japan back then, he was the man for New Japan. And he'd yell "brain buster" and play. He'd tear the house down. He'd get heat with the office. He'd chastise, mess with them. And then he'd go out and just do it. And him and Inoki clicked. Boy, they'd have great matches and tags or whatever it was. And piece of work. God rest his soul. Worked with him again in IWA a lot in Japan. Worked with him some when him and Slater were a team. Steve and I did in WCW. Learned a lot from him, but he browbeat me all the time. I said, "God, you just give a brother a break." That Texas-Tennessee thing, And he called me Newman because Carson Newman's were in college. He called me Newman, but he was something else. 6-inch punch. 6-inch punch. He knocked a boxer out that was undefeated, a pro boxer getting ready to fight for the title. I don't know who he was. He really did. He had his own bar. Went to his bar a few times. Dick Dive. Not Dick's Dive, the other place, Murdoch's place. All it had was written on there like it looked like somebody put a big chalkboard and wrote Murdoch's place. And you go in, and there'd some pool tables, and they had poker machines and all. And he'd drink beer. All the cops would come. And he'd drink beer with them all. 24/7. The man drank beer every day. 8 eggs every morning. Every morning. Much cholesterol as he could get it in. Couldn't spell diet. Guys be eating right, doing all that. He'd come in, French fries, ham. You know what I mean? He's crazy, man.
How about Dick Slater?
Oh man, yeah, he was like one of my idols. I thought he was so cool. I don't want to get crazy, But I tell you what, he was a hell of a worker. I worked with him Mid-South one time in 8 minutes, and he made me look like I presentable, which was hard to do, And I just listened to him and didn't say a word. I was so nervous, and he was getting ready to work a program with Jim Duggan. And it kind of got on him, said he gave me a little too much because they want to work strong, especially working with Duggan, who was really over then. and I learned a lot, boy. 8 minutes on TV for me, and you're talking about sweating bullets, you know. Work with Randy Savage on, I know he was 10 minutes on Memphis TV made me look good, but guys like that you remember because you grew up watching them and you respected them, and you wanted to do good. And he was assistant booker to Terry Taylor. Had took the book, and him and Slater would work together. But was worked with him in IWA some in Japan, like I said, and worked with him with Murdoch when he's Murdoch's partner. And last time I saw him was at ECW at the pay-per-view in Marietta. I don't know what it was called. I saw him there. He said he was just fishing, had a fishing boat, and wasn't working, hurt his back pretty bad. One of the toughest guys ever. You know, he beat up John Matusak. The story I heard, I didn't hear from him either. John, you know who he was, the football player. Disrespected Slater, disrespected the business. Slater punched him out, threw him through the window. John Matusak was 6'8", 300-something pounds. That happened. John Matusak went and found him next day, took him out to dinner, drank with him, hung out with him. Probably stayed in touch with him. I couldn't believe it, you know. And Steve Kern went to high school with him, and he told me a story of guys on the beach in Clearwater, Florida there. A big boy football player, West Virginia, stepped out and said something smart to him, like he's going to whip the local boys. Slater one punch knocked out. I mean, he was tough, boy. Boy, he was tough. Slapped me one time in the ring doing a ceremony in IWA. I expect it. He was working, you know, but man, he about broke my jaw. You know what I mean? Hit me right up in the ear, about broke my jaw. He just grinned and laughed, and I went, "Gun!" I said, "I dare you to call it." You know, like that. You know, I said, "I dare you." Afterwards, I said, "I dare you." I said, "I dare you to call it. I dare you." I'd have took a bump. You know, I almost took one anyway. You know what I mean. One day we laid out in the sun in IWA for like 8 hours in Japan, and for Victor Quinones for about 8 hours. We just do squats and pushing. We did that. He did it all day with me, and he about killed me. A little workout he'd do. He'd do the rubbers, calisthenics, and he was in great shape. And he was a tough guy, man. And he couldn't spell the word shoot. I don't think he ever boxed. He just tough fighter. He was Eddie Graham's guy. That was like his, you know what I mean, would beat guys up if he needed to. He's the right guy to do it.
How about Buzz Sawyer?
Oh, he was a great worker. Crazy. Always into something. Great worker. Worked with him in Jackson, Mississippi. Little TV title match. He just got done with his run with Duggan. And they didn't, you know, he's in between angles and opening match. And, you know, I went to the ring, no response. Buzz Career was over good house. And I was nervous. I wanted to do good with him. And you knew Buzz was a big shooter, tough guy. He was always cool to me. Some guys liked him, some didn't. But when they rang the bell, he was a great worker. He was great. If he was still here, he'd still be going good. He'd get over today. And he would. Buzz Sawyer could adjust. He could work with anybody. All I ever saw in Atlanta was him being crazy, but he could work, he could wrestle, he could do anything he wanted to do, any style. He walks up to me, and I'm just sitting there, and I've got my hands, I'm ready for anything, because you didn't know Buzz. He's kind of unpredictable, especially young. I thought he was going to slap me or what, you know, whatever. And I'm just like standing there, and I'm looking. I respected him, and you think, okay, here we go. All right, I just want to listen. Because the veterans you worked with, you wanted to do good. You didn't want to mess up. You didn't set up matches. The dressing rooms didn't connect. You called it in the ring. Guys are watching matches, they didn't repeat. You know, believe it or not, it used to be called in the ring, every bit of it. And all you have is a finish. And you get the finish 1 or 2 times, guys change it in the ring, everything. So you better, your ears are open. You know, clean your ears out. So Buzz walks up and he goes, "Hey kid, what do you say we just tear the fucking house down here, huh?" And I went, "Sounds good." So you think you can do that with me? And I'm talking through my teeth. Because Lawler taught me that, talking through my teeth. And he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "I'm gonna slap you." He said, "Turn my back on me, turn around, punch me, fire up on me, backdrop me, drop kick, close on me on the top rope." Did it. He said, "Fire like a bastard." Did it, fired, had the people. He went 9 minutes and like 57 seconds with something, beat me with his power slam out of nowhere. It made me look like $1 million, which was really impossible. And I listened to him, and I was like, wow. And he liked me. And then he was kind of on his way out, and he's getting ready to go to Dallas for the Von Erichs when Ken Mantell come in. And he pushed me to Ken Mantell, and Ken didn't have any plans for me, you know. And then I worked with him in Japan a lot. Steve and I did. Steve Armstrong and I, with him and Manny Fernandez were tagged in, and tag team tournaments and that they had, and worked with them a lot. Worked with them a whole lot, and worked with them in front of 16,000 people. I can't remember the name of the place, in Japan, and was real nervous. And they called it all in the ring. Which in Japan you have a long fit and everything. We called it all, and it was a night off, and what a great team. But God rest his soul. It's crazy. He was crazy. He was always into something. he taught Vader a lot how to work Japanese style and everything, you know, and he would be one guy that, like, you'd see the Japanese guys and he'd tell you what he goes, he told me, he said, watch what they do so you know what to do with them, and you set up spots with them and put over their spots, and then they'll work with you a lot better. So, you know, real knowledgeable, will really deceive you as far as what he knew, you know. But,
Since you just mentioned him, what about your thoughts on Manny Fernandez?
Manny Fernandez, I learned a lot from Manny Fernandez, another nut, lunatics. He's still alive, is he? I don't mean that being funny. Is he all right? Okay. Manny had issues. We all got issues, but I learned a lot from him on that tour. I was in with 4 tours in Japan with Buzz, and 3 with Manny, and learned a lot working with him. He was in the service, so we would get off. He took care of Steve and I in Japan, though. He did. We would get off the bus, and we'd go walking with him. Because in Japan, you walk about everywhere, and everything looks the same. I said, man, there ain't no way I'm going to find my way back here, man. Everything looks the same. He'd take us in shops, show us things. Also, too, like Buzz, help you in the ring, talk to you about guys, how to work with them, things like that. Was a great worker inside the ring. Learned a lot. I always liked working with young guys and teaching them. Manny had his good points, bad points, which we all do. He had a lot of demons in him, but he had a good heart. And I think Manny really destroyed him mentally. And you don't talk about nobody's shoes, you walk in them. When his mother died, and you know, and so you learn so much from so many people, you know. But, yeah, keep going.
All right. What about Eddie Gilbert?
Yeah, I learned a lot from Eddie Gilbert. God bless him. A lot. And his dad. I worked with his dad a lot. When he had worked under the hood, and the last really run he had big working was in Continental, and Eddie would be there, and you know, and you wanted to do good whenever you worked with him. And Tommy go 20-minute Broadways with me and make me look good. And Eddie'd come back and he'd tell me what I did wrong, which was a lot, and he did. And then, and like I said, in Louisiana, they were getting ready to make him a manager, and I worked with him. He'd go 30 minutes with me, you know, like about a half dozen times he did. And I just was, and I remember Tommy. I rode with Tommy. I think, and Eddie was coming by. His dad's Eddie traveled with Fergie and them that night or something. And I remember him told me after it was Lafayette, I think, he goes, "If you ever slow down, you'll be good. You'll do good. If you ever slow down." I was up in my apartment. I was going up the steps, and he's in his car. He was Eddie's way, real intense, real smart, had a lot of great ideas. And I said, "All right, man, I'm sorry." He goes, "Oh, you did good though, but fuck, you know, slow down," you know, like that, right? Because you just want, you know, and had a great mind for the business. Eddie did. Boy, nut, lunatic, loved him, great guy. I miss him bad, and miss him bad. I was shocked when that happened, and he was in Smoky Mountain, and I was in Japan, and he brought in Udavon, which is cane, and thought he was going to be there when I got back. Saw him at Dennis Corleuz's show, God rest his soul, and talked. I hadn't seen him in a long time, you know, and talked, and he was talking about he was getting ready to work. I just said, "Man," I said, "you and Jimmy could work good together," you know, because they had heat before, you know. But Eddie wanted to be the boss. He got his, you know, Booker in Puerto Rico, and we know, you know, what happened. But boy, he WCW. Bill Watts really liked him. Bill Watts really liked his mind, and he had a lot of fresh, bright ideas. And then he, I think he booked there a bit, right? And then I know Continental, he booked that, took over Robert Fuller, and did good there. And then he went back to Tennessee. And of course, WCW, he was there when I came in, and then that happened. Him and Missy split, and didn't see him. Then saw him at Dennis's, and then thought I'd see him at Jimmy's. Didn't, and they always, his name was always alive in there. Boy, they always talk about bringing in his booker for WCW during the time I was there, and you know, but didn't happen.
Well, since we're on, what about his brother, Doug?
Doug, he called me the other day. I got to call him back. Doug, I remember Doug was a kid. He was at junior high. He used to come down and, or maybe sophomore in high school in Louisiana, see his dad. Heavy set then, you know, he wanted to work, and he just idolized Daddy, you know. And Eddie would travel with his father, you know, to go to the shows when he was a kid, where Doug would run with his buddies, played sports, played football, you know, and everything, and did. And and then of course Doug got going in Global, I think it was. I believe that's right. When Eddie had the book there, and when you saw him, he was working. You remember he was a little kid. You know what I mean? You know, and no, he's crazy. He's crazy. He's so funny. But when I'll tell you, when that happened with Eddie, that just destroyed, which would anybody, and it affected him, and as it would anybody. And what happened with Eddie, as the whole family, as everybody that was close to him, and worked with him in Tennessee, the Smoky Mountain USWA angle. When he come back from Japan and mystery, worked with him in Louisville, and did a good deal there to get him over good. They hit that music. And he'd been a heel there a long time. Worked with Tommy. Him and Tommy had that big deal with PG-13, and always loved working with him. He knew how to get over. Worked in Japan, and of course he books the American guys for IWA. And I mean, I love Dougie. I hope he's all right. I need to call him back. If you're watching this, Doug, I'm gonna call you, man. But you know.
Since you also worked a lot in Memphis, what are your thoughts working for the Jarretts or for Jerry Jarrett?
I learned a lot from I mean, that's all. Everybody you work for, you learn different ways how they ran it, but they knew how to do it. They knew how to promote. They were wrestling people. Eddie Marlin do spot shows. He'd have guys do the drug talks in the towns, appearances, you know, for kids, things like that, positive things. And I thought that was really good. He always did that. He knew how. He had his own concessions and everything. He knew how to promote. He knew how to promote the, you know, through the schools, through the community, get everybody involved and make it a positive thing. They didn't want the heels and baby faces didn't ride together. They were strict about that. They kayfabed. Dressing rooms didn't connect except Louisville and Memphis, Evansville. Guys got paid in Evansville. That's when everybody got, you know, fussing, fighting, and everything. but they knew how to make money. They kept their business. They kayfabed themselves. They still do. They're very smart business people. Jerry Jarrett is no dummy. And he always said this, and I'm trying to do this now. I've took a few chances and they ain't worked yet. But he said, take a chance. That's why he is what he is. I think he owns a bank. He sold that property there. Back at his house, bought a construction company, built the houses. He was involved in monster trucks and all that. He's involved in other business and a smart man and knew how to run business. His mother, Teenie Jarrett, same way, learned from her. Of course, Jerry Jarrett worked and learned a lot about the business from him, and he always treated me good. And I have a lot of respect for him, for Jerry Jarrett. Very smart man, very smart man. He would get in tune, and when he did, he was brilliant. He innovated a lot. Him and Lawler really did of what Vince did with the gimmicks. You know what I mean, with the guys, and they took a lot of that. I mean, everything was anybody came through working for them. So, you know.
Just touch on some of those. Lawler.
Jerry Lawler, yeah, he's another one. Jerry Lawler, smart guy. Look at him now. I mean, the man's been, what's he been with his 25 years? Probably would get mad. He don't like knowing his age, but I mean, Lawler can still go out and tear the house down. He's got good psychology, best on the mic. Worked with him a lot. I worked with him every Thursday for like 8 months. Learned a lot working with him. He knew how to get over as a heel, babyface, anything. You ever see his videos? Anybody come through Memphis? He had the power to do it. He was the man. He drew a lot of money in the business and still doing great. And smart guy. And I told him I respect him. There was heat there for a while, but I told him, I said, "Oh, I don't necessarily want to drink a beer with you, but I respect you. You know, I learned a lot from you." Grew up watching him with Sam Bass, you know, and he always had a good business head. He still does. I hear his book's awesome. I mean, I hadn't heard, you know, but very smart man. Keeps up with current events. You know what I mean? You know what's going on. And everything, catchy one-liner, everything he does, real intelligent, reads comic books all the time, you know, but smart man, very successful.
But Bill Dundee.
Dundee owns a strip bar now, but I mean, he makes good money off of it, still wrestles some, learned a lot from him. He always helped me with my matches. He browbeat me too, but I'd listen to him, and he tried, when he had that big run down in Louisiana, he tried to get me in down there. Of course, you couldn't. Everybody in the world was trying to get in there. But he got me booked, and he got me my first full-time job in the business. Bill Dundee did. So I always remember that. I always respect him. And remember Big Sid jumped on him. Him and Sid had trouble. I come back from Japan and in Nashville, and there's like an 8-man street fight or something. And I look around and I see Sid wailing on Dundee. Just tackled him, man. Dundee went whoa and tackled Big Sid, 6'6", 300 pounds, juiced, jacked, God, and tried to calm that down. You know what I mean? With those guys, and fought for my life. Sid, God. But things like that, because I watched his back, because he helped me and he gave me my first job, and I always try to take care of his son Jamie, and that's a job. But yeah, he treated me good. He always pushed for me, always helped me, and always used me good wherever he was involved. Got me him down there, and whenever I was around him, I always showed him respect. Still will. Went to his bar a couple times. Just about to see him on the way through, and he's something else. Hey, he's had a lot of longevity in the business. He worked till he's in his late 50s, so you got to respect that.
How about Buddy Landau?
Buddy had this business right here. They were going to put the belt on him with Flair, and he didn't show up at TV, partying, and they had that national or whatever it was, I don't know, whatever, one of the belts when Crockett was hot, when they had their thing going hot. Flair was going to take some time off. They were going to put the Nature Boy against Nature Boy, put the belt on Buddy. Didn't show up TV, fired him. Dusty fired him. He came to Tennessee, and then he went from there back to Louisiana, and I think Buddy had a lot of demons, still does. We all do. You just fight them off, right? Just don't give him no power. But always had big chances. It seemed like whenever he got to the point when he was about to do real well, it's like the enemy, like the devil himself would get him. You know what I mean? And he'd get in trouble. Things happen. I mean, he totaled Butch Reed's car because he was combing his hair one time, looking in the mirror in Louisiana. He did. I mean, it was, I think he went off on the lady at the Radisson. Ole liked him and was going to use him good in WCW, and went off on the girl there, and her dad owned a hotel. He did that in Baltimore too, I think. And, you know what I mean. And that hurt him. And but I tell you what, he could talk, and when he wanted to, he was a great worker. And I worked with him a lot when I first started in Tennessee before I went to Louisiana in '86, and he made me look good. He told me one time, he goes, "Hey baby, how you doing?" He goes, "Everybody says you're the shits, but I have a hell of a match with you. But I have a hell of a match with everybody." He was like that, real confident. To him, that Nature Boy was a shoot. Yeah, it still is. I think he had illegally something in there. He did. I think he did. Last I heard, he's bondsman and runs shows in Chilhowie, Virginia, and was a used car salesman. Did that, and buddy, he's a piece of work. I love him. Hope he's all right. Him and his, he'd have marital problems. They'd split up about every 2 weeks. I said, "Buddy, you get kicked out like once a month, man." I just joke, you know what I mean, but he's doing fine as far as I know. I'd like to see him. I don't mean to go personal there, I don't mean that bad. I love Buddy.
Going back, in '87, you went to Florida to work for Mike Graham and
Kevin Sullivan, Pat Tanaka. I saw my run was up in Tennessee. There was you see the writing on the wall back then, so you call around. Pat Tanaka called Matsuda and Mike Graham to get me in Kevin Sullivan. And Kevin Sullivan and Matsuda called me on the phone, and they put me with Steve. And he goes, put me with Steve Armstrong, and put that gimmick on us. Well, I didn't know nothing about the gimmick till I got there. The Wild-Eyed Southern Boys, and I was there 6 months. And it was a laid-back place. We'd go fishing on the way to the towns, man. We get there just time to put our boots on. Everybody knew about when they was on. It was real laid-back. Mike Graham, and Mr. Matsuda, who was an animal. And enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Florida, based out of Tampa. I've never been to Florida in my life. I've been a couple times on vacation, and enjoyed that. Then Crockett bought it out, and Dusty and them came in, and then we were there for a little while, and had a lot of promises that didn't happen, and then they wanted us to go up in there full time after the bashes, and the territory was going down, and we ended up going to Continental, instead, and we messed up and we walked out, and that wasn't good. They were going to give us 4 tapes. They do back in at that little TBS studio. They were going to give us 4 wins on there. You know how they used to do the job matches, you know, squash matches and all, and we didn't make TV. We went home. Yeah, bad mistake. Wasn't long later, Rock and Roll quit. And they went with the Fantastics, who had normally the same gimmick, and we'd have been right in line for that. They were going to put us in an angle with the Midnight Express then, because we worked with them a few times in Florida when they come in. Bobby and Stan worked with them in Florida there in St. Pete. Bobby Eaton was phenomenal in the day. He was great. That's another one that was intense. It always helped me so much. But then worked with him in Baltimore, and Dusty told us that, and we didn't do it because we thought we should have, you know, gave it a chance. And didn't do it. Thought it was better to go there, which ended up being all right, but we should have done it. That was a big mistake. When you make mistakes in this business like that, you may never get that break again, and that's what happens to a lot of guys, you know. Yeah.
Your thoughts and remembrances of working for Kevin Sullivan?
Yeah, always treated me good. Put that gimmick on us, put us with a new breed, Chris Champion, Sean Royal. Chris and Sean went up, and that's when they had the wreck, and they were going to turn in babyface and work with Bobby and Stan and Jimmy, you know, and always treated me good. Learned a lot from him. Like I said, you learn from different guys, have different ways of doing things. He told Steve one time, he goes, "Brother, this business is a shoot, brother. It's a shoot. You've got to take it. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself." You know, and I always remember that. Worked for when I was in Atlanta. When he was there, he took care of us and was good to us, and you know, always pushed for us, and was always good to me. And,
some other guys that might have been there at the time. Mike Rotunda.
yeah, Mike. He'd work with Dory Funk Jr. every night, 30 minutes. He'd work with him. That's like a clinic. Dory, you know what I mean? You know, wrestling, and they'd go on last. And, you know, Dory would start slow, and he'd just build it. He'd keep going at that pace, and then by the end, they had him 1, 2, you know, and nice guy, class guy, Mike Rotundo, class guy.
But Bad News Allen.
Yeah, he was in there. Yeah, he was in there when I was there, and tough guy, didn't take no stuff from nobody. He'd go to Japan a lot, and the Hearts, of course, he lived in Canada. And he told me when Dusty and Crockett and them got that, and they came in, and I think they wanted him to stick around, but I think they wanted to take his Japan deal. I remember him telling me that he didn't have to kiss anybody's ass, and he didn't. And he was always cool to me, straightforward guy, you know, tough guy. Yeah.
You mentioned you left there to go to work for Continental for the Fullers. How'd that come about?
That was with Steve. With Steve. Steve went back in there for a little bit, and I couldn't get in right away. I was working on the farm, cutting the back on and all that. And Jerry Jarrett called me and says, you know, come on to work. So I did. And then Bob Armstrong got the book, and then Robert took it, and then Bob got it back, and then Robert had it. But anyway, Steve Armstrong's got me in there, and we worked with Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden, and that was a lot of fun. Good crew. Wendell Cooley was in there, Danny Davis, Dirty White Boy, Tom Pritchard, of course Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden. I can't remember, there's a few more. Good time, and they had good business in. Knoxville was on fire. 4, 5, 6 times in a row it did over 25 grand, which back then ticket price was $5 and $6 at the old Coliseum. That area was on fire. Then David Woods bought the south end, which was down. Dothan was doing okay, and Ron Fuller kept the other end going. And then a year later he bought the other end. So he's the first guy to sell the territory. Ron Fuller was. Smart guy, then got into hockey, was real successful, and good businessman. Robert Fuller was a nut, a lot of fun. But I had a lot of good memories there, laid back, good atmosphere in the dressing room. But I mean, they did good business at the time. And then yeah, the next time I worked in there, Eddie Gilbert came in. Robert had the book for a while. Eddie came in, and you know, and just really learned a lot there. Worked 5-7 days a week. Lived out an apartment in Birmingham. Steve would stay with me. He was up on that end, and I'd stay with him in Pensacola when he was down there.
Thoughts on Bob Armstrong?
Oh yeah, he's like my second dad. You know, good man, good guy, straight up guy, boy. What a man, hell of a man. You know, in '87 we was in Florida, and I can remember Steve telling me this story. This just happened. Scott, they were in the parking lot somewhere, and these guys pulled them over in the parking lot and were giving them a rough time, 4 or 5 guys, and Bob was asleep in the back of the van, and Keith Hart and a couple other guys with Scotty, and these guys were giving them the business, and Bob come out of the back of the van with nunchucks, and he whipped 4 or 5 guys, and these guys ran off in the woods and left their cars. 47 years old, pretty quick too. He didn't take no stuff from nobody. He was a Marine, he was a fireman, he was a power lifter, and he was just a tough Georgia country boy, you know, and knew how to get over little things. He just knew, real knowledgeable about the business, and great interviews, and just a good man. He was a boy, what a father figure he was. Has so much respect, still does. Can still make a comeback, still working. He's 67 years old, and works out every 4 or 5 days a week, and he fends his family. I can remember somebody saying something about one of his boys, and he looked up at him. He'd do this all the time. He looked, and he said, "I'll give you about a minute to rephrase that." He stood up for his, for what his family, and if one of them walked, they all walked. If one of them went, as far as a fist fight, they all went. They stick together, whole family. I miss them.
What about Jimmy Golden?
Good guy. Good guy. What a good guy. Robert's cousin, and laid back, good old boy, still working and still going. Knew how to get over, knew how to draw money, real smart, good man. Just genuine, good people. I was overseas with him. We did military bases, wrestled on military bases in Japan, Hawaii, Guam, and Diego Garcia. He was my roommate, Jimmy Gold. He's telling me, "You're the worst roommate I ever had, Jimmy." No, but good guy. Like to see him.
Now, during this time, you also went to New Japan
Mhm.
for the first time. How'd that
Went
go?
there 4 times. And like I said, Vader, that's when he was getting going strong in Japan. Buzz Sawyer on those tours, Manny Fernandez, Scott Hall, the Von Erichs came in one of those tours. Lynn Denton, and Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, and got to work with all the guys there, Fujinami, Inoki, Koshinaka, who else was on there? Liger, Hashimoto, Chono. I remember when Brody got killed, Muda come back, and boy, they're good business people. That's why they're still doing good, I guess. And they sell out everywhere. They real professional, nice buses, nice hotel, Kill Plaza Hotel, stayed at, and they were a class act. They treated you good, always had food and drinks for you and stuff, and brought weights to the towns. And you travel on buses, subway, bullet train, ferry, everything, and they herd you around like cattle. But they were if once you be on that bus at 7 o'clock, get on there about 10 to 7. You know what I mean? They were real efficient. I guess they still are.
Did you enjoy? What did you enjoy more, working over here or working in Japan?
It don't matter. I can work on that parking lot. It don't matter to me. It don't matter. This business is a great business. I love this business. And it's a lot of fun. And things talking about as far as for me, the most joy I got out of this business is helping other guys learn how to do it. Because I always wanted in school, I wanted to be a coach. And I look at it like that in the business. And working as a trainer, I love that. And that's a lot of fun to get to help young guys. Because I know how I remember guys that helped me. Some of the ones we mentioned, you know, that helped, and you remember that took the time to do it. And some do, some don't, but all should, because this business is bigger than any one of the boys, any promoter, any event coordinator, any owner, anybody that wrestling journalists, I guess you'd call, like Meltzer, what's the guy, Wade Keller, all them guys, you know what I mean? You know, everybody on the internet, on the OneWrestling.com, and this business is bigger than any of that. And it really is. It's the best business in the world. There used to be a lot more jobs, and now that all the territories are shut down because what we was talking about with Vince, and I'm just telling it like it is. I bet it costs probably 300, 400, 500 jobs, full-time jobs in this business. Now that's a lot. And in today's economy, you know, there's thousands being everywhere, but there's only so many guys that can be a wrestler, because not everybody can do this business. Not everybody can do this. There's football players, martial arts guys in it. There's boxers, there's ex-shoot fighters, amateur wrestlers, you know, soccer player, everything. Not everybody can do this. You got to love it, and it's in your blood. And to see that guys are robbed of a chance to get to do what I got to do for 20 years and travel the world. Got to go to Japan 18 times, Singapore, Malaysia. Got to go to Kuwait, Mexico a couple times, Bahamas 4 or 5 times, worked there. Canada, most of the United States. Diego Garcia, Guam, Hawaii. That's cool. I never got to do that. I've been working on the farm somewhere in Springfield, you know. But when you see that and you see how it is now, and it looks like the old Road Warrior movies, like Mad Max, where the guys are killing each other for gas. Everybody runs the same town. Everybody tries to close each other down, and there's nowhere for guys to work. The guys have to get a job support to wrestling have it, and it's in their blood, and they love it. And I wish it wasn't that way. But yeah, that's the way it is.
Just jumping back to Continental, a couple of names. Willie B. hurt.
Pez. You know, I heard, I just heard, I need to call him. He's in the hospital bad. I heard he had congested heart failure. And Pez was a big burly guy, and he's down to like 125 pounds. So knew him, met him in '87 in Florida. He was working there when he had that with Tiger Conway, but Tiger had already quit. And was in Continental with him, and always was another guy that helped young guys, and he worked as a trainer in a power plant, right? He worked in there, and he knew how to get over. Great on the mic. And I always thought, like, Pez got pushed good back when Georgia Championship Wrestling. He was, you know, he had some good runs at, you know, then, and kind of faded out. But he had his last big angle, I think, was Jimmy Valiant. But he always helped me, always was cool to me, and always worked with me, and liked him. Tough guy, strong, deceptively strong, was a power lifter, was 2-time state champ, wrestled UT Chattanooga, and I hope he pulls through. Respect him. His son got a college scholarship for wrestling. I mean, you knew his son was a little kid, and when you hear things like that, it's sad.
But Danny Davis.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Danny Davis. In Tennessee, when I was young, when we first started, Danny Davis, he always worked with the young guys, helped the young guys, worked with him in Continental a lot. You watched him and Eddie Gilbert go 47 minutes one night in Dothan, Alabama. Sure did. And he helped work with a lot of young guys. He's one of the special guys that would do that. And I worked for him when he started running shows. And now, of course, he's the head of the developmental thing for WWE, him and Cornette. And he's developing guys there. Brock Lesnar, all them guys came out of there, right? You know, John Cena, Randy Orton, and who else? There's more. There's several more that's went up, you know, through him. And I want to beat him. I want to help Ian Rotten, IWA. I want to help a few other guys. I got a couple things I'm working on, and I want to beat them. I want to bust their ass. I respect Danny Davis. It ain't nothing personal. It's professional. I've had a lot of feelers come back. They don't like it because I work for Ian, so I'll work for Ian every time he book me. So I pretty much do what I damn well please. You know what I mean? You know, when I hear that. And I don't want to go, no, I'm not doing that when I say that. I mean, you look at it like competition. That's the way I think you got to look at it. But I respect him. You know, I respect him. But I want to beat him. I want to beat him. I want to bust his ass. I went for it on a lot of things. I want to get the backing, and I want to help Ian and a few other guys, promoters. Like I said, I don't want to repeat myself, and I maybe could do this interview a year from now, and I may not be nowhere near it, but you know what? I'll still be racing. God don't care too much if you win the race. You just got to keep racing. And guys, you know, that brings out your competitive, you know, fire right there. Paul Heyman does. I'm not knocking him when I say that. Paul Heyman does. Cornette does. Bruce Pritchard, Tom Pritchard, okay, Danny Davis. That's, you know what I mean when I say that? Those guys you knew before they were in the position they were in. And it ain't nothing personal. It's just professional. I just want to beat them. I don't want to bust their ass. And you know what? There's enough guys out there to do it. There's enough guys out there to do it. There's the competition. There's strength in numbers. If a guy had the back and he opened up the small territories again, and there's enough talent, believe me, where the guys switch around, they have a job. This is what they do Thursday through Sunday. Do a TV the first of the week. They're running 5 times a week. You know what I mean? And it can happen. The towns are still there. The people are still there. That make any sense?
Yes.
You know, get syndicated TVs, cable access TV, whatever you do. All it needs is power, money. So, it's a lot of fun. I ain't got nothing better to do. Nothing I'd rather do. Gonna do it.
Well, since you mentioned him, another guy from Continental, Tom Pritchard.
Yeah, Tom Pritchard. Learned a lot from Tom Pritchard. You worked with Tom Pritchard in the ring. You didn't have to say a word. You know what I mean? He called the whole match in the ring. Knows his business inside out. So does his brother. And I have a lot of respect for him. But you know, like I said, it's a competitive thing, and he's helped a lot of guys. He's trained a lot. He trained Rock. He trained several guys that's made it, and a lot of his talent. I guess he evaluates talent for him now, right? He used to be training for Jerry Jarrett back years ago, and was real good at that, and real knowledgeable, very smart guy. Listened to Rush Limbaugh, and was good friends with the Armstrongs. Traveled with him a lot, and lunatic. And I heard he's married now and happy. I'm glad for him. But like I said, you know, him and Bruce both, I respect them. But, you know, I want to give him some healthy competition. Let's just say that. 'Cause that's what Vince did when he helped all the promoters he did. He shut them down. So, payback's a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Hey, who am I? Right? You know what I mean? I'm trying to pay my car payment, you know. But anyway, you know, just keep plugging.
Why don't we talk about a little bit your partner for years, Steve Armstrong.
Oh, good, sweetheart of a guy. Steve will live till he's 1,000. He don't worry about nothing. He's has strong faith. Good guy. Loves his wife and kids. Loves to hunt and fish. And 5 years we were together. Florida. Went to Japan 4 times. Mexico a couple times together. WCW. And I miss him. I'd like to have one more run with Steve Armstrong. Sure would. Sure would. He could arm wrestle, man. He's strong. Bob had him genetics from Bob, and he's not a liar. He straightforward. All the Armstrongs are just great people. Love him. Love him like a brother. Been to war with him. Been in riots with him. Seen him punch out guys. Guys want to arm wrestle him. Guys always come up and mess with Steve. Steve don't bother nobody. Wrong move, bother Steve. He can throw down.
In 1990, you started for WCW. How'd that come about?
Oh, Cornette. We worked with him and Bobby and Stan, and we was in Florida, and then worked with him up in Baltimore. And he liked us, and he would always watch. Jim Cornette's got every tape of everybody that's been on, you know, that's been on TV forever. He's like Chris Hero and Mark Wolf and Punk and Steel and Prazak. Those guys have watched every wrestling match in Ian. They've watched every match ever been on. Every match ever been on, they watched it. But yeah, he plugged us for a while, and so we contacted him, and it was about 6 months. We was trying to get in, and they took a look at us, and we worked in Marietta. And then we didn't work for about 2 months, and they paid us. And then we came in, and Jimmy and Bobby and Stan put us over on TV. Freebirds put us over on the Clash, You know what I mean? You know, and did that, and we worked with those guys a lot, and that was an experience. But Cornette he treated us good. Eddie and Kevin Sullivan, but Jody Hamilton liked us too and pushed for us, and Nick Patrick's dad, and was there 2.5 years, and then Steve had some differences with him about his music, and he didn't sign the contract and kept working, and I don't know, they wanted a percentage on it or something, and they let him go. And I didn't go with him because I just bought my house and I just got custody of my son. So my last year there, I guess I just played golf. I'd do TVs here and there. If I was there, I'd play golf and spent time with my son, and was home and got paid. And they threw a lot of money there, obviously. And but that was cool because, you know, for me it was good money back then. And you flew on the plane, you flew everywhere. You work out of place 4 days. You travel. Used to travel. Our travel. We'd get one of the big vans. Tommy Rich, Junkyard Dog, Brad Armstrong, Steve Armstrong, Nick Patrick, Ricky Morton. You know what I mean? You know, that was our clique. We'd all run together. You know, we was a B team. They had 2 shows running. Owie was the booker. Owie Anderson treated me good. Owie Anderson treated us good. Was good to us and liked us. And I can remember him browbeating us because we were going 100 miles an hour, which today it'd be about 40 from what the guys are doing today. You know what I mean? I mean, hey, back then you cross-bodied off the top. You could drop kick off the top. You could do it from canvas, flying up, all that. Super kit, you know. Hey man, you're flying everywhere. You know what I mean? Scotty Steiner did the Frankensteiner, and he's the only one they let do it. Now they do it from all corners of the earth. You know, and Owie was browbeating us in front of everybody. He was you're going bing, bing, bam, boom, like a bunch of Mexican jumping beans. He said, slow down, work on this, do that, work a hold, wrestle. You know, you overwhelm them, whatever you do. It's called working. It's a beautiful thing. You know, learn how to do it. You know, yeah, I was there 2.5 years and learned a lot. Traveled all over the country. Yeah, it was cool. Worked 3 months without a day off. I remember that. Yeah.
For WCW, you got to work on pay-per-view for your first. How
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was cool. First Clash of the Champions, we worked with the Freebirds. That was live, and I can remember Chip Burnham telling me, Steve and I, right before we went out, just a kid in 1990, and he goes, "There's 8 million people watching right now." I look at Steve and I went, "Yeah, man." I said, "I gotta throw up." He goes, "No, don't do it." I could do, man. It's live. I'm serious. I really thought I did. And you just sit there, and I just sit there and just like, oh, come on, God, don't let me throw up on nationwide TV. You know, I was nervous. Went good. First pay-per-view, if I'm right, I think was in the Great American Bash with Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, and and Cornette. And we worked with him 2-3 weeks. And Cornette put that whole match together. He did. And we'd work on it every night. Back then, you'd do that. You know what I mean? Like you see the guys like the boys that work for Ian now, like Punk and Hero, the matches that they have, they do that. They work every night. They add in, take out whatever they wanted, and by the pay-per-view, you had it down. You were married to each other. Now they work once a week. You know what I mean? And so that came off good, thanks to them. And because in Baltimore, they loved the Midnight Express, and the people were with them and loved them, and that was a lot of fun. And I was really nervous. And I just listened to Bobby. I remember Bobby Eaton before he made the hot tag. I says, I'll blow sky high. And Bobby just take over in pay-per-views. He was really great. And Cornette knew how to work the crowd, you know. And I remember getting ready to tag in the ring, and I said, "You want me to tag?" And he goes, "Please." Like that, we went like 20 minutes, and you know you're blowing sky high, you're in the heat of it, and you cover up and keep them laughing. It's like a playground in the ring, and he was that comfortable. Here I'm, you know, really nervous. That was fun. Worked, I think, 5 pay-per-views for them. I want to say, I don't know, something like that. A few clashes. That was cool. Worked Freebirds and pay-per-views, and did that. Yeah. Brought Brad in. Well, Brad was already there. Made him Bad Street. Did that, and then I think they brought in Buddy one of the Freebirds, Buddy, what was his name? Buddy Roberts. And that's when they did that thing with Bob, where he came in with a trophy and cleaned house, and some guys said that he looked old doing it, and then they didn't let him work on the pay-per-view. I remember that. Well, Bob's a proud guy. He goes, oh, I guess I'm just old. He was at the pay-per-view at Asheville. He walked around with his shirt off all day. He was ready, man, tan, jacked. And all he did was come in and threw one punch to when Michael had one of us rolled up, and that place went ballistic and did it. And the boys come back and give him a standing ovation. You know what I mean? He was a special man, good guy. He didn't say a word. He didn't bitch because they did that. He wasn't like that. He just showed them how the cow ate the cabbage. And you remember those things. Steiner's, worked with him a lot. God, that's why I'm like him now. Worked with him every night for 3 months. Suplex from one end of the world to the other. But they liked us because we would take their suplexes, and then they'd take our double team stuff, and we turn it around and have Rick Steiner sell, which, you know, that's, you know, to do. And I knew him from Louisiana. I left that out when I was there in '86. He was getting started. He called Rob Rick Steiner. Bill Watts loved him. Put Buzz Sawyer with him to teach him how to work. He did. But and have Scotty do the hot tag, and so that was a night off with them. And we thought, oh man, here we go. But it was actually, you look forward to working with them because they were so over people. You know. Worked with York Foundation. They had Terry Taylor, Tommy Rich, Ricky Morton, and got to work with Steve Austin, and who was great heel, and Dustin when we were heels, and Barry Windham, Slater, Murdoch, Sting a little bit. Worked Flair a few times, and one time, and who else in there? There's a lot of them are real good. You learned a lot from Grizzly Smith, and Jake came in, and trying to think other guys I worked with. Marcus Bagwell, worked with him when he started a lot. Johnny B. Bad when he started. I worked with Johnny B. Bad on the pay-per-view, and Marcus Bagwell on a pay-per-view, and on a Clash somewhere in there, something like that. Yeah.
Who was running WCW at the time? Was that Jim Herd?
God, they had a different booker every week. Well, Jim Herd was, and then I remember in Indianapolis they gave the book to Ole, and him and Ole didn't really see eye to eye because Ole's a real old school, but Ole would work with him, and I remember they wanted, Ole and Cornette would get into it all the time, and I remember at the first Halloween Havoc in Chicago, they wanted to break a pumpkin over Jim Cornette's head. So we're sitting in there, and Rock and Roll was going to work with, which was actually Robert Gibson hurt with him. They had Tommy with Ricky Morton, and they were going to work with, Rock and Roll was going to work with Bobby and Stan, and they were going to bust a pumpkin over his head, and they got into it, and he said, ain't nobody busting a pumpkin over me, and we'd come down dressed like Jimmy or something, you know, and that was crazy. But, yeah, Ole was the booker, and then after that was Dusty, and Kip Fry came in and took Jim Herd's job, and he didn't know the business, and he made the mistake of firing Harley Race, which is, you know, that'd be like me going over here and, I don't know, firing somebody at the Radisson Hotel or this hotel. I know nothing about the hotel business. I couldn't run McDonald's. He sure couldn't run wrestling. And Harley had so much respect with the guys. Like I say this for Lex Luger. Lex quit. They said, he said, he goes, I go. And he quit. And they said, okay, go. Then they saw who he was. He made sure Harley had a contract, you know, and made sure Harley was secured. And then Bill Watts come in. And Bill Watts was the hatchet man. Cut expenses. He fired a lot of guys. And you look at one of them. But he fired a lot of guys that worked for him, you know, that had runs with him too. And he cut them a lot of expenses with them. But he's a smart guy. Tell you what he did do. He took them old Mid-South tapes when they did that tour. Remember when they first started working with New Japan? You remember that when they first started doing that? Bill Watts set that up. He sold them tapes to them over there, and they show them. I don't know if they still do. But they show them in Japan. That's what you guys ought to do. They're really big bucks, and as far as I know, they're still playing. But yeah, that was all the ones. Bob Roop was Ole Anderson's right-hand guy. Watts was Bussey's boss, and then after, yeah, that was it.
A couple of names from that era. Well, Ric Flair. Thoughts on?
Yeah,
stories?
I mean, you know, working son of a gun. Still is. He can still go. Close to 60 years old. That's amazing. You know, probably wouldn't like it if I told his age. He had a lot of respect with the guys. And I always noticed this, boy, he always showed Harley Race respect, just like young guy. You know what I mean? You know, he always did that. And you look at that and you think that's cool. He could go back then. I saw him go 60 minutes with Barry Windham in Florida in '87. I mean, had him 1-2, and he do a lot, like, you know, I always said how he was real, would do the same things all the time, which he would, his trademark stuff, but when he wanted to, he'd go. I mean, you can't go 60 minutes and just take backdrop out of the corner or upside down bump. You know what I mean? You know, he can make you look like $1 million, cut you off, give it back to you, make you look great. In great shape, he'd do like 1,000 Hindu squats a day, you know, do the Stairmaster, do much with weights, and just love the business. Drink, party, buy everybody in the bar drinks, trays of shooters, walk around, pull his pants down, everything. It was crazy. Him and our, you know what I mean? You know, I mean, he did. He lived the gimmick nature boy. He was, and still, I don't know now, but I mean, yeah, he was considered the best worker in the business then, you know.
But the guy you worked with when he was younger, but now he was getting a push, Sting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, like the second, third match, and what were they called? The Blade Runners and the Freedom Fighters and the Blade Runners or something. And then in Louisiana, I worked with him a lot there. Tag matches always with him and Warrior, Big Jim. And Hellwig was really big then, but Sting's really started learning a lot when he got in Louisiana with Eddie Gilbert. They put Eddie Gilbert with him and Jim. And when he had that trouble with Slater, that's when like a light went off in his head. And then he got his break, actually. Brad's the one who told him to do the yell, the surfer, and beat his chest and the surfer yell. And then Michael didn't show up, and when they had that, what was it called, UWF, when Crockett bought it. Steve and I were in Continental then. And yeah, it was UWF, and Michael Hayes was on top with Flair, didn't show up, worked with Sting, liked the match. He said, I want to work with this kid right here. They fired Michael. That's how Sting got his break. And then they did the thing on the TV. It's a big deal in the business then, where he cleared the ring of the Horsemen, which they had a lot of heat on them then, and put JJ in the Scorpion. You know what I mean? You know, then he went 45 minutes with Sting on the Clash. You guys remember that? First Clash? That was his break. That was it. The rest is history. I mean, always a nice guy. Always was to me. Christian man. Now he's traveling evangelist now, isn't he? With Ted DiBiase and Nikita. Yeah. He'll probably come back. I think he wants one more run.
How about Barry Windham?
Yeah, I learned a lot from Barry Windham. A lot. I say that about everybody, but I did. You take that, you got to look at it like that. You know, whatever anybody in this business, the thing about this business is that where anybody had any personal differences, it's usually the guys they had the best matches with or learned the most from. I didn't have any personal differences with Barry Windham. Kendall either, you know, never knew his dad. But yeah, Barry used to come into Florida a lot in '87. He'd always help the young guys and watch a match. You'd ask him to watch a match, and he would. And what a baby face he was back then. He could work his butt off, man. He was great. And last time I saw him, I worked for John Collins. But yeah, I worked with him in Atlanta a lot. Him and Dustin when they were teams. Steve and I worked with him a lot. You know, and you know, I don't know what's he doing now. Is he still working?
Like occasionally, not
Barry just disappeared out of nowhere. You'd see him for 6 months every day, and you would see him for 6 years. You know what I mean? You know, he's crazy.
But Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, Dustin. I remember when he came in Atlanta, and he's traveled with us sometimes, and did. Dustin did, and you know, first time I met him was in Japan. He worked for all Japan, and I worked for New Japan. And he was real young then, and he was working in Florida down there, you know, and you know, you knew he was going to do good. And then when he come into Atlanta, of course, you know, and Dusty used him real good, and he worked with all the best heels that they had. Like they made that York Foundation, Tommy, Terry, Ricky Morton, all of them. You know what I mean? Dustin worked with them all. They all got Dustin over. Steve Austin was another, and Dusty really liked Steve, and Steve would like work with all the middle underneath baby faces, when Dusty worked with all the middle, or Dustin would with all the middle underneath heels. Then he moved, you know what I mean, and worked with Rude and Vader and all them guys. And used to have great matches with Steve Austin. I remember that. And good guy, always was cool. He couldn't help it that his dad was a booker. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He was a cool guy. And had respect for the business and had respect for the boys, and sure he still does. Haven't seen him in a while.
What are your thoughts on Dusty?
We walked out on him in '87, and he was fixing to put us with Midnight Express. That was a bad mistake, and I don't think he ever forgot it. So if you're listening, Dusty, I'm sorry. God. But no, I respect Dusty because we'd have been next in line when rock and roll left. We would have. A bad mistake, you know. So young guys out there, don't do that. Don't walk out. Don't quit. Don't ever quit. But yeah, and then in Atlanta, he changed our gimmick from the Southern Boys to the Young Pistols. We had come up with something that turned us heel right away. We had better heat as baby faces actually did as heels. We did. We did that. But you know, Dusty had a good mind and still does for the business, and knew how to draw money. Great interview. And I always had that power to do it. And but Dusty was real creative in the day when Florida was going strong. But Eddie Graham was the guy that Dusty learned from, and Eddie would be there hands-on to keep him, like you say, not hold the reins, but detail too. But J.J. Dillon and him always worked good together. That's the thing about a booker or any boss. He's got to have you're only good as people around you. And I thought Dusty always did, and from what everybody, you know, the track record looks like. When J.J. was his right-hand man, J.J. was a real detailed guy, and they both learned from Eddie Graham. Eddie Graham was a smart man. Crazy.
But Jim Cornette.
Yeah, oh, Cornette. I hope he don't have a heart attack. He goes off all the time. No, you know what? He when we worked with him in '87, St. Pete, Bobby and Stan, Cornette knows every worker, everybody that's ever worked in this business. He's seen every tape there ever was, and he liked us and was high on us. And the match went good, and we followed those guys. And you know, back then they were over good in this business. Dennis had not been gone long, Dennis Condrey, and Cornette pushed for us. Like I said, got us in WCW. And then after WCW, I was real frustrated, and I was going to quit the business. I was, and he called me for a year after they, he did. He'd stay in touch with me about every 2 weeks, something like that, because he was getting that going with Smoky Mountain. He didn't say what or when, what he's going to do. But after that, he walked out, him and Stan did, and then worked for him three and a half years in Smoky Mountain, going out of Japan, just give him ample time if I had a tour. He'd work something to hurt me or beat or do whatever to do to get heat on the heels. And what he ran into Smoky Mountain was just bad economy, because in the mountains too, especially in summer, the people are outside. It's a winter territory, spring and winter, they do good. And he had a lot of good ideas, and I'm sure he still does. But I want to beat him. I love him, but I want to beat him. I want to bust his ass. I want to be the biggest pain in his ass I can be. I'm going to. So help me God, I'm going to. But yo, hey, he was a smart guy. I wouldn't even be in this business now if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't. I respect him. You learn from them all. You got to look at it like that. You can't take things personal. Can't do it.
In Smoky Mountain, memories of your feud with Chris Candido.
Oh yeah, we was in Newport, Tennessee, and Tammy had come in, and her first program they put her with Brian Lee, Jimmy, and worked with him for a while. And then when that was done, they didn't have nobody for me to work with. Well, they were going to put Tammy with Tony Atlas, and Tony didn't come. So they didn't have nobody to work for him. And I was hoping they wouldn't let me go. You know what I mean? You know, and Candido had been working with Tim Horner, and he used to have great matches. You used to watch him, boy. He's hungry and he really wanted it bad. You know, Suicide Blonde. He was the first guy really doing all the. You know, now everybody do it. I mean, that show I watched last night, that whole crew, them boys, God, much like young Chris Candido. You know what I mean? Innovative and doing a lot of things. And him and Bobby Blaze used to have great matches. You used to see that. And And I wanted to work with him. And Ricky Morton and I was standing there, and Ricky says, "Yeah, Jimmy doesn't know what he's going to do with you. He doesn't know. He got him to work for you. He's really wanting Tony to come in. He was wanting to do that with, Tony and Tammy." And I said, I just pointed over, and he's over. He just got done working. Boy, he'd come in and just about pass out because he worked, just loved the business. And I said, "Let me work with this kid right over here." He said, "Who?" I said, "This kid right here." Like that. How you just looking? I said, "He works his ass off." I said, "Let us go down the middle or underneath, whatever, little angle there. Let me work with him for a while, so he can go." And Ricky looked at me and goes, "Well, yeah, he's a hell of a worker." He said, "But I mean, he's been doing diaper matches with Tim and baby bottles, and you know what I mean? And Tim never put him over." So I said, "I think I can get him over, man. He can go, And I fought for my life working with him. He's so hungry. He used to send over spots written on a piece of paper to me. The dresser didn't connect. I said, "Oh my God, there's no way I'll remember this." So I'd meet him around back and stuff. We'd go over it, and you sit there, and I never really lined up that many things with anybody that did. And he'd call it back out in the ring to me too, and we call it back to each other, and it was a lot of fun. And boy, he would really go hard. And that was, I think they were getting ready to let him go, and they might have been ready to let me go too. And the rest is history. Had a good run in New York from that, WCW, ECW, and he's trying to get it back, trying to get his confidence back. He lost his confidence. I told him at XPW, told him that. I said, "Buddy, you're only 30 years old. You're a young man. Just wait till you're 40. You really lost it then. You're done mentally." But yeah, hungry guy, and I hope he needs to make a comeback because he can still do it. He can. Love him to death.
What are your thoughts also then on Tammy?
Well, I think that she needs to go back what got her to the dance, to Tammy Sitch with a capital B. She's called Tramp Tammy and all that, like the Hillary Clinton thing. And I don't, you don't talk about nobody's shoes till you walk in on. I think I can remember this, and on a personal note, I can remember that when her father passed away, that affected her. You know what I mean? And people don't know those things. And but she had the world right here, and she still could again, but got to get it back right here. They tell you nothing to tell her. You saw her when Sonny, she had it right here, man. Her and Sable. And
also in Smoky Mountain, you had a big feud with Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony.
Yeah, did that where he burnt the flag and they handcuffed me in Jellicoe, Tennessee. And whoa, he didn't do that there in them hills, because Tony ended up carrying a gun on him, 38 on him to the shows. He didn't go to no bars anywhere. Klan guys come out of the woodwork. They would too. They didn't like that. I remember being in Johnson City and a bunch of these guys come in the building, and they come up on you and you didn't know that's what they were. Young guys. And they said, we know it's set up. We know this is this. We know this is that. But that wasn't cool. They burned the flag. And they were ready to do something, to make a move jump on Tony. And they said, you're going to kick his ass or what? More or less said, they're going to kick my ass. I said, what do you think I'm going to do? Play ping pong with him? You bought a ticket, man. You're a mark. You're over at cussing, going off. There's kids in front of the, in the table. You sell gimmicks. I said, I'm up here, selling my gimmicks. I'm trying to make a living here. You know what I mean? It kind of got upset, and it was a little heated, and you thought, whoa, these guys fixing to go. But, that was heavy heat. Hey, Pikeville, Kentucky, a guy walks up, had like rebel uniform on with the gray thing with a hat, and this kid dressed just like him, Webb Newsom from Pulaski, Tennessee, Klan guy, had a whole bunch of guys over there that we did the chain match. Man, they won't kill Tony. I was throwing up the ring before we went to the match, went out there, because I thought they'd be waiting on him or anything. And that was good. It drew a little, because rock and roll was going with the Heavenly Bodies, and that was on top, and we were under that. And Brian Lee was working with Kevin Sullivan, and there's a few more angles in there. I can't remember, but the initial thing, it did pretty good. But I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And I'd sell the Rebel flags and bandanas and T-shirts and pictures, Polaroids, and I'd give Tony 10 or 20% of my gimmicks profit, because if it wasn't doing that, that did that. But that's a major issue there in that area. He didn't do that. Now, heck, the marks throw flowers at you. They're all smart marks. You know what I mean? They're smarter than we are. They're not working. You know what I mean? You know, but yeah, he did. I mean, he did. Ron Wright, we did that with Ron Wright. It pulled my foot there right at the end of that chain match. And people, and he knew how to get heat. And the people, all them hillbillies, you know, them Klan guys over, and cops are watching them. Cops ain't gonna do that to them. They're Klan guys too. You know what I mean? You know, and New Jack, the gangsters. I remember when they come in. Oh God, I remember that. They did they did an interview in one of them towns. Cops, Klan, everybody there's Klan, and Cornette give them the interview. New Jack doing it on the white-black thing. He had about 30 guys with him, some of his boys that were legit gangsters, you know, coming in, and they were all around the ring, come out. It was pretty cool. Had on their stuff and everything. They had Mustafa, you know, and he did. And in the last of his interview, he knocked everybody and had the people ready to riot. And he goes, oh, yeah, he goes, and OJ, he goes, keep up the good work. We got 2 of them down when that happened with OJ, right? You know what I mean? I'm standing there, and Jimmy don't realize, you know, where he was at, you know, and I went, Jimmy, what are you doing? You're going to get these guys killed. They come in. I was just frantic. I didn't want to see nobody get shot. These cops, I pulled the cops aside, talked to them, really. And Jimmy laughing, you know what I mean? It was nuts. Everybody was dying. I thought it was funny. It wasn't funny to me because I'd had him Klan guys when White Boy and I worked together come up on you. Well, Jack really was careful. The next week he came into the towns in a green Corvette. Yeah, which is heat there, you know. And yeah, he sure did. We were getting ready to bring Undertaker in for the Pikeville in '95, I guess it was, for a 6-man, Bob Armstrong, Undertaker, myself. I know it's talking about White Boy, but we had 3 TV tapes. We were getting a lot of heat on Jack and them, going to cover us with the Malcolm X flag and everything, you know what I mean? And Undertaker come in and do it. Well, the cops come in. They jumped on Boo, which is Balls Mahoney. You know, got a lot of heat on Boo there. You know, worked with him, got a lot of heat on him, and a couple other guys. You know, they're really getting steam on them. And the cops come in the dressing room and jacking them back in the corner. And I thought, good God, if they're going to shoot these guys, they ain't going. D-Lo was with them, A.C. Connor. First time I worked with him, got off the plane, just got from Japan. Told me all the stuff he could do, and got in the ring. His natural gerbil, Brian Hildebrand, God rest his soul. Mark Curtis says, how do you like him? He says, he's a natural. You know, he said, well, he trained himself in the backyard. You know, back to New Jack. And like I said, you know, then Jimmy put him with them, you know, and the rest is history. But I thought that I pulled them guys aside and just said, look, man, I want to arrest them. I said, you know, he goes, we don't have that around here. We don't have them around here. You know, and I said, well, I told him what he was doing. You know, Jimmy talked to him, then I pulled him aside and talked to him, and I said, you know, we're going to bring Undertaker in to kick their ass. It's, oh, yeah, good. Well, they better not have car trouble on the way home. I mean, sorry, it was there. Well, it was there. Yeah. Sorry. Got off talking about something else. Imagine that. That's true, though. That's true. I saw New Jack one time. I was in Tazewell, Tennessee, and I remember this sheriff, redneck boy and everything. Jack walked out the ring. Ain't no black people there, okay? And I heard him on the mic from a distance. I went, well, you see us. It's what we look like. It's like whole fair come out of the hills, everything. The people did that out there, and you could just see it. And them guys didn't care. Still don't.
So who came up with the thugs gimmick?
Oh, that's the real deal. That's not wrestling. You know what I mean? You know, not this wrestling bit, but guys I grew up with, they were the thugs. T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a thug can't spell. They had a backyard football team, a softball team when they were all in high school, and they'd fight the grown-ups at the ball games. They were all older than me. Most of them were, and you don't want a list of characters and names that were born to be in this business. Crazy, country boys, crazy. You had the thugs. There's like a clique, and I wouldn't say a gang. You know, they didn't wear no jackets. They didn't do any of that. They were all brothers that loved each other. They didn't rob or steal. You know, they didn't do it. Well, they robbed a dollar store. That broke the thugs up. They did. But here's a list of names of these guys. Peppy, Stud, Cockbite, Jambo, Wild Dog, Snoopy. I'm not kidding you. Jello. I sold my house to Jello in my house in Tennessee. I did. I live in Branson now. Yeah, Chirp, Beano, Big Stud, Jambo, Schmitty, Wild Dog, I said that, Hoppy, Bow Wow. Yeah, these are real guys, real humans, you know. Chester, Jesse, Glidewell. You know what I mean? I mean, these guys are nuts, and they're still around there. They're still around there, and Stick, and yeah, Stick, yeah, sure did. Bo, God, Bird, all them guys, yeah, they're real deal. They're nuts. They're crazy, man, crazy. Because that was that clique, and over here you had the Goat Boys. And they were the Goat Boys were the boys from East Robertson, Cedar Hill, Cross Plains, Tennessee, and they were the boys in the four-wheel drives. I had a Jeep. I kind of hang with everybody. They didn't like that now. Thugs didn't like that. You didn't come in the Thugs parking lot, all right, on a little strip Springfield, and you didn't go in the Goat Boys apartment. I go in both, but I get heat with the Thugs. Goat Boys didn't care one of the Thugs. They didn't bother the Thugs. You didn't mess with them. Then you had Rose Hill, black guys. And then you had Southtown, and the other black guys. And then you had Southtown Rinky Dinks. That was white trash. Yeah, he did. And then you had Greenbrier, and they had the skinheads. And then you had the Klan there, and you had, what's the guy's name? Motorcycle Gang, Chosen Few. Hell, you ever heard of Hell's Angels? I'm not kidding you. They killed some of them guys. Killed 3 of them at their house. Went to their house, killed them. Disrespect. That's no lie. I remember that. Remember these things. Klan guys disrespected Bucky and Cockbite. They did. It was I was in Smoky Mountain Inn. It was May 11th, 93. I remember this. They did. They marched in town, and the white people didn't like them. Black people didn't like them. You know what I mean? Klan guys didn't care. They didn't like nobody. They didn't like white. They didn't like nobody. If you weren't Klan, they didn't like you. And disrespected them, punked them out, about 20 of them. A bunch of them thugs, they just loaded up. I was playing sports, and they keep me out of trouble. They went and beat them up, man. They went to the bar they was hanging out in Greenbrier and beat the hell out of them. Young guy, and there's 4 of them come out of the truck, come out of the place, and the thugs were waiting for them like a bunch of wolves, man. Beat the hell out. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. I was in a bar with them one time when I was 16. And the band was playing, and the black girl was singing, and her and Cockbite kept talking. That's why they called him that. It is crazy. Kevin Farmer works at Nissan now, does great. Best thing ever did happen to him was get married. He'd be dead or in jail. And the only one he's scared of is his wife. But they had words, and the guy's following them in the bathroom. Meet me in the bathroom, And the guy mouthed at Peppy. And Peppy punched. We called him Peppy because he looked like his dog. His dog got run over 100 times. Had pink eye all the time, sick, ear bit off, fight anything. Like it was a terrier, a white terrier. And Mike Gallagher, his father played football at Notre Dame. He did. Peppy played at University of Tennessee. He got kicked off the team because he punched out Larry Severs, who was All-American. He did too. He beat him up. Went across the middle. He nailed him. You know what I mean? Didn't catch the pass. Severs smart. I think he beat the hell out of him. Johnny Majors fired him. But So the guy mouthed at Peppy, and Peppy just dropped him. Big Stud come in there, and them other boys on the bar. Big Stud come in because the brothers, the big boys, the brothers come in and went in on Peppy and Benny Garrison, he's another one. He's the instigator. He started, and Big Stud ripped the sink off the wall. He did. He had 16-inch forearms. Power lifter, wrestled in Middle Tennessee State University. Penn Notre Dame's heavyweight. You know what I mean? Anyway. Yeah, it wasn't from wrestling. And they're still active. They're not married. One of them got Ziller, got shot, killed. Said it's suicide. Nobody takes 12 gauge. He gets shot 3 times. When he was hunting. Yeah. And Gunner found him. Another one. Ziller was Cockbite's little brother. I'm not like, you know what I mean? Thanksgiving night, you find out he's dead. I see Peppy, I ask him, they tell me what happened. But, they used to get mad because I do jobs on TV. I get squashed on TV. They get mad, man. Oh, God. They didn't like it at all. You can fight better than that. What the hell? You making us look bad, man. 3 years I watch you get your ass whipped. Thank God you got a regular job, to go in wrestling. It ain't on this TV no more getting the hell beat out of you. That's what they said. You making us look bad. Don't you ever tell nobody you thugs. And I started using that, and I had to wait for, it was a little bit established, I'm not kidding you either. I'm not. I'm really not. You know.
Oh, man. Let's go through some of the names from the Smoky Mountain era. But,
That's why I don't sell the shirts a lot of times. Them guys want to cut. I ain't kidding you. They're crazy. Nah.
Some guys from that time frame, Paul Orndorff.
Yeah.
This is him.
You know, he worked for Jimmy right before he went back to Atlanta, his last run working. Boy, what a man. He had pneumonia, and I don't know how in the world he could go out there and work, but he finished out his bookings, and he was TV champion or something, you know what I mean, you know, something then for Jimmy, something like that, and worked with him, and I never seen nobody more determined, you know, that had more heart and was just a tough guy. I mean, story I heard, he got into it with Tony Alves and bit his ear off. You know what I mean? You know, he's tough, man. Tony was back then, you know. But you had so much respect for him. I begged him not to work, but there wasn't no way he was not going to work because he had that much pride in himself as a man and as a professional. Because he didn't want him to say that, hey, you know, he didn't want to put nobody over, you know what I mean, going out, even though that was just for Jimmy, and he helped him get that started. And went 10 minutes with him, you know what I mean? He called on the ring, listened to him. It was the only time I ever worked with him. And you know how when you think somebody's that sick and you want to take care of him, want to be thank God he had pneumonia. You know what I mean? You know, because he stomped a mud hole in me, boy. But you know what I mean? But I loved the match and loved working with him, and I had so much respect. And he knew how to get over, and he knew how to draw money, and he still does. And I hope he's doing okay. Gave me a pair of boots. Thought that was cool when he's in WCW. He did. See, this was his first pair of wrestling boots. Tell me that. Straight up guy. You know.
How about Mark Curtis?
Yeah, oh man, God rest his soul. There's nobody that I ever met that loved this business more than him. Nobody. And first when I met him, my first night at Smoky Mountain, Smoky Mountain never would have been Smoky Mountain if it wasn't for Mark Curtis. He helped put up the ring, he helped get the advertisement out, Sandy Scott, you know, and he did 14 jobs, referee, got everybody's finishes, helped Jimmy with the book, helped Jimmy in the office. You know what I mean? Detail was running everywhere, making sure the money was in where the guys, their money would be good, you know, and him and his wife. And he was so excited when he got the job. Was there 3 years with him and knew this business up and down. And Jimmy do a lot of, I work with Ollie's kid, Brian Anderson, and we do a lot of them different kind of, you know, we go work a shoot. And Gerbil really taught me how to do that. You know, he did. We called him Gerbil because he looked like Gerbil. The white boys started calling him that. And different moves, like different guy. Certain stipulation matches we had with Brian. He knew every hold, every move. He knew every thing there was to know about wrestling. He's another one, like Prazak and Ian and Mark and Hero and them guys that watched every tape that's ever been. You know, I mean, really, he did. You know, knew every style, everything, was a student of it, loved it, and I'm sorry, I miss him real bad. My best birthday I ever had when he got that in WCW. He was so happy, and he developed stomach cancer. He worried all the time, smoked cigarettes, and he worried all the time, and he came back on the road, then he went down, and then they had the memorial show for him in Pittsburgh with Benoit and Shane and Dean and Tim Horner, myself, and Hugh Morris and Billy Kidman, Eddie Guerrero, you know what I mean? All them guys on it, but the air was off in the arena, and there was no, you know, in the ice arena, and it was real hot, and we burned up, and Gerbil had his suit on, was out by ringside all night. That's where he wanted to be, you know. Cody Michaels and Shane put it on, and they all started together. Cody, Shane, and Cactus Jack. Of course, Cactus was there, getting ready. Had his book, had the blueprint, what he had written up, and I think that was a little much on him. But there wasn't no way you gonna get him out of ringside. And after we were done, because we, you know, I took Shane Pittsburgh plunge, whatever, you know, the move, and I said, Gerbil, I always do that with, and slam me, and he couldn't do it. And I knew then, you know what I mean? You know, I said, can you sign me? He goes, no, like that. 2-3 weeks later, I was on the road working a fair show for Tim Horner in Tazewell. Tim said, you need to go by and see Brian. I thought he was talking about Brian Logan had got hurt. I goes, yeah, I heard he got hurt. I can't. He goes, no, Gerbil said he hadn't ate in 3 days. He hadn't slept in 3 days. And he said he's in real bad shape. So I was in Tazewell. I went 120 miles out of my way, you know, to go see him on my birthday, best birthday I've ever had. Stayed up with him all night. And he kept apologizing because he was in such bad shape. He was throwing up. He was vomiting. You know, he had diarrhea. He tried to lay down and sleep. He'd lay on the floor. He'd lay in the bed. I'd just falling around and talk about old times, and I'd turn around and cry. And he didn't want me to cry. He didn't want me to feel sorry for him. He was happy. He was yellow. He had the death color. And before that, saw him, and my cat had gotten killed and was almost dead, and he was worried about my cat. And I remember looking up and seeing he had that death, and he refereed. It was after the show in Pittsburgh, or outside of Pittsburgh. And him and his wife, they were so happy together. He was at peace, and he was saved, and he was a Christian man. I know he's in heaven. And he died 3 days later, and I didn't go to the funeral because I didn't want to remember him in that. I wanted to remember him how I knew him. And when I got out of this business, and I did the memorial show for him, and Kingsport was my first night back. And that's what got me back working, and that's why I'm working now. That, and because Ian always hired me whenever I got fired. He always did. And they were close, and that always was what drives you, and that's why, you know, you remember that, and you just feel his spirit in you. I remember trying to train and get back in shape because I took a double DDT, and I took it like a single DDT, and I went straight down. When he hesitated, he went down top of it, and I curled my whole right side, went, and I thought I was paralyzed. You know, I was getting ready to get out of the business. And I thought back, and I didn't think I could ever step in the ring again or be able to, and I used to pray and think about him all the time. And that's one reason I keep saying when I do, I want to do my own, because I think of him. That's the first thing I think of, and I love him. I miss him. And I had his shirt from Memorial Show, and I've lost. I had 2 of them. I've lost them. I've got to get it. I used to wear that shirt in the dressing room all the time. Not long after he passed away, I'd wear it during the night, you know, and because I'd always think, whenever you're tired and wore out, you'd think of Gerbil, you know. Good guy. Love him. Wish he's still with us. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to do that, you know. But yeah, best birthday I ever had.
Don't some other guys. How about that?
I didn't mean it. Yeah,
No,
you
no,
know. I think this business will come back. I think it goes in cycles. The economy's bad now. Of course, we're at war. I think that it's got to be done like little territories open back up where young guys have a chance to make a living at this. And if a guy could get back in a half dozen places, you could go a 2-hour show on cable and have a match or 2 out of each venue. You know what I mean? All I ever hear people say is, we'll see wrestling like it used to be. I don't think they want to see sex with mannequins. I don't think they want to see thongs on people. You know, I don't think they want to see nothing where it's not godly or where the kids can't watch it. I got a 13-year-old boy who's messed up real bad right now from watching WWE, and that makes me embarrassed to be a part of it. And I don't understand why he's done it. You don't have to do it. It ain't nothing what the guy's doing in the ring. You don't got to do that. And I think now he's trying to get away from it, but it might be a little too late. But when you see young guys and you see how hungry they are and they want to work every night, you remember when you got to do that, and you just wish you could do something to help them, or they could do that, do something that they love, because there's so many that are so good and such good people. And you get more joy out of helping them learn how to do it than you ever did anything for yourself. And like I said, this business is bigger than any one person in it, period. And 2 things that guys have in common, whether they like each other or not. Number 1 is they love the business. Number 2, they all have something to prove. And I think there's a lot of people out there that have something to prove. And I just hope that, God willing, the creek don't rise, that I can be able to provide jobs for guys that want to live their dream. When you see a lot of guys passed away that aren't with us no more, A lot of it roundabout ways because it was a dream that took away. So they had issues with it, and it's hard to deal with because it's in their blood. So, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Can we all just get along? You know what I mean? When we was up there in Philly, XPW, 15 people run Philly. You know what I mean? Like that. It hurts everybody's business, and Vince just sits back and laughs. Well, I'm going to bust your ass, Vince McMahon. It's going to take a long time. If I piss on you, go to hell. We can get in that interview. You know what I mean? 'Cause that's selfish what he did. Cut 300 to 500 guys out of jobs in this business. And whoever don't like what I'm saying, I don't really care. And they know I'm right, because that's the truth. That's the truth. Go ahead. That it? We done? All right. Cool. Cool. Anybody else on that list? I can go all day, but I don't guess we need to. But, I'm bowled up doing this thing, man. Oh, man. For WWF in New Haven, Connecticut. Called a ride up to the show. Thought I was going to work with Terry Funk. Real excited about that. You ever worked? The toughest match I ever been in was with Terry Funk for Ian at the Shakey's Pizza. Remember that? I fought for my life. Thank God he was 55 years old. If he's 35, he killed me. Terry Funk, you get in the ring with him, you better be ready to go, buddy. And if anybody ever wanted to run a promotion, there's 2 guys I would have. And there's a tie for first. They'd be involved some kind of way. I can't say their names at the same time. Bob Armstrong, Terry Funk. You know what I mean? That's who I would have, those 2 guys. Terry Funk will draw in this business because he has respect. And he's still working, right? I know he is. If he's kicking, is he? Is he still working, Terry Funk? Yeah. That's who I was supposed to work with. I was like, yes, so fired up. But then they ended up, Terry worked with Brian Lee. I thought I was going to work with Van Dam. Lance Storm didn't get in from Canada. I thought I was going to work with Van Dam. And worked with Taz. And Taz and Paul, and Dreamer pretty much ran it, And he liked the match, and they gave me a job. I worked a little bit still for Vince, went to Kuwait, and then came back. They did their first pay-per-view then, Raven, of course, and that's when he dropped the belt to Terry, Sandman, and all those guys. And New Jack beat a guy up my first night there. Some guy come up, New Jack's upstairs at the arena. Some black guy, Jack didn't know him, and the guy came through that hole in there, and Jack, all I heard Jack saying was, I don't know you, nigga. Just like that. I can remember hearing him. I knew he's fixing to fight. You knew Jack. He'd fight and win with it, And I heard him say that, and then I looked up, and I saw him go down the steps at the arena. And Jack was beating him up all the way down, and that guy did a 4-2-40. The whole dressing room took shots at him. They riot about once a month. Dudley's whoop everybody in the building. But the guy Pitbull Anthony got him out of the building, and that was an experience. You didn't see that in the WWF dressing room. And they were like a bunch of misfits. You know what I mean? And that's what Dreamer told me. He said, welcome to the land of misfits. And Sabu, of course, was there, ran with him. Tommy Rich was already in there. And I remember when they put Guido and I together, they would always do that. Paul would do it right there. He'd book it. He would, he'd get together with guys and he'd look at it and see what what he needed to do. And I asked Sabu, I said, Sabu, who am I working with? He goes, hold on, I'll find out. So he walked up and asked Paul, and Paul goes, I don't know. You want to work with him? Sabu went, no. He goes, I need a strong win because he's getting ready to do that pay-per-view with Taz. And so Tommy Dreamer walked over to me and asked, wanted to put me with Guido. And so we did. Chris Chetty and me, myself worked with Guido and Tommy Rich. And I never got in the ring, turned on Chris Chetty, and they put us in the FBI thing with Tommy and I with Guido. They'd already put Tommy with him to teach Guido. And one of the most dedicated guys that you ever be around is Guido. Good guy, good family man and everything, and to teach him. And then started working with them. That's the first time I ever worked really as a trainer. I always worked with guys to help teach them how to do it. how to work best I could. And I started doing that there. And Danny Doran would work out in the ring, Spike, Guido, Chris Chetty, Wild Bill, who was CW's partner. And later on CW, I remember Steve Carino tried out, and when he got his break there, Nova did. He worked with Nova and tried out, and of course Paul hired him right away. I remember Rhino when he come in, and he hired him right away. And I can remember some guys they didn't. Shane Helms come in and worked out in the ring, and they didn't hurt. Roadkill always worked out in the ring, you know, and I would have them do calisthenics, you know, and you know, little push-ups, squats, stretch out, chain wrestle a little bit. If there's new guys come in, I'd put Chetty and them guys with some of them guys to lead the match. You know, I could have a 5-minute match with them, and they learned how to, you know, how to call it, how to lead the, you know, nothing too crazy, because them guys would, Danny and Chris and Spike and them guys would set up the ring, and then work out in the ring, and then work that night, and then take the ring back down. When they go to Florida, they drive in the truck and do it all. I mean, they pay dues, and you know, and that was a lot of fun. I looked at it like a coach. It was fun to do. Just incredible. He get in there some. You know, his confidence was down. He came in from new WWF, and Paul put that just incredible on him and started using him. Really liked him. Jerry Lynn, of course, come in, and of course he didn't wear a ring. Jerry, you know, great worker. But Lance Storm was there, you know, and who else? The Dudleys, of course, the Dudleys. Paul would have them get on the crowd real hard. Big Dick Dudley, remember him? God rest his soul. Remember watching them in Staten Island, Riot there. God. So Mark tried to take a swing at Shane in Allentown. I think it was Allentown. Shane went after him, and then the first guy got to him, close to him, was Perry Saturn, and Perry just blew his knee out, and I don't know how he beat everybody there. That whole dressing room come out. They tore the curtain down and everything. I thought it was a run-in. You know, Mark sucker punched Mikey one night. Whole dressing room hit. Night before, New Jack and Anthony, Pitbull Anthony, fought in Queens, tried to kill each other. Next night, they're side by side, hitting Mark's right and left. Back there laughing. Hey, that was great, man. Oh, you nailed it. You know what I mean? It was like that there. You know, Land of Misfits. It was a lot of fun. Cool dressing room.
What were your thoughts on Paulie, since he was...
He's a smart guy, Paulie. I knew him when he started. When he came in, Kevin Sullivan brought him in Florida, and did that big power lifter guy. I can't remember his name. Tombstone, to work with Scott Hall. They had Scott pushing Scott Hall big as a babyface then in '87, and Kevin brought it. Paul did his interview and did it, and you knew he was a good talker. Brought the big boy out. He worked there for a while, and you know, Paul get heat with the boys, you know, and he get heat with the boys because he's, you know, New York, and he's real smart and everything. And I remember Scott Hall clotheslined him one night in Sarasota, and he took it. You know what I mean? And Paul didn't know how to work take a bump. I mean, he took it, and you know, he respected him for that. And I saw him. He was Eddie's assistant booker in Continental, and in '89, and then he was, of course, WCW. Eddie got him in there, liked him, and you know, Flair, something happened with him and Flair. I think Flair fired him, and Paul's dad's a pretty stout lawyer, and got him back in. You know what I mean? I mean, they didn't even take it to court, and you know, he fought it and did it, and he helped change the business a lot. Then, of course, he got that going with ECW, and Paul's Paul. That's all you can say. Learned a lot from him. He gave me a job, and when I worked for him, on Thursday we didn't have it, I'd go work for Ian, and it was similar as far as the style of the guys that they had, and a lot of Paul's guys would come in, or actually they were Ian's guys, but they were Paul's guys, would come in and work for Ian, and those guys, I'd say him and Ian changed a lot in this business, changed a lot. Created a lot of guys, helped a lot of guys' careers when they were on the downside, like Steve Austin, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Benoit, all them guys, you know. A lot more, too. A lot of them worked for him, went to WCW, WWF, so the proof's there, and, you know, the spot he's in now. So, like I said, I want to beat him. I learned a lot from him. I want to beat him. Ain't it personal, you know. I don't know. Maybe he don't like me. Don't matter. I ain't going to sleep 12 hours worrying about it. You know what I mean? That's the way to look at it. So, but yeah, he's with it.
After you left ECW, I guess WWF brought you in as a trainer for down in Memphis.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, I worked part-time for WWF and Paul when they were in the area, both of them, you know, a little bit here and there, and then went in there in Memphis and never really went in there in July of 2000, and my first day in, I saw the atmosphere, and I thought, whoops, I'll be lucky if I'm here 6 months, and it was about like it was. But it was a case of a guy named, and when I say this, I'm not knocking him, I'm just telling it like it is, because if I see him, he'll become extinct. His name's Terry Golden, was the head of it, and he was a guy that had worked some in Independence, and he wasn't the best worker in the world, and he was kind of bitter at young guys that were there on contract and trying to go up, and he tried his very best to keep them go up, had their morale real bad. You see that, you know what I mean? You just saw that right off. And well, Steve Regal was there, and Steve Regal, of course, you know, real respected and knowledgeable, and the guys, you know, he was a good trainer, and he was getting ready to go up, and he was at tail end, and he was still head trainer, and I was under him. And I saw that right off, and I can remember that, and you could see the morale of the guys. And Shawn Michaels, his boys, Lance Cade, Spanky, Dragon, and Shooter. I can remember seeing them at a show and telling them they needed to get in the gym. And they were there, and they wanted to learn, you know, really bad. Spanky, Dragon, and Lance were more into it than Shooter. And, of course, Steve was trainer there. Joey Abs was there, and I didn't know why he was there. And Pete Gass and Rodney were there. And, you know, and those guys were there. The Main Street Posse. K Quick, what was he? K Quick, now he's Ron the Truth, right? He was there. KK was there. What's her name? Blonde-headed girl. God, Bobcat, Cindy was there, and Terry kept some. Steve wasn't there long, a couple months. Robbie Brookside come in. They should have hired him to take Steve. They wanted to have two trainers. That's what they said. Steve could name his replacement. They said something about the work visa. I don't know, but they hired him because Brookside was very good. He taught Spanky and Dragged him a lot about you know, English style, you know, a lot of wrestling, and was real good. And I would try to tape their matches in the house show and the workouts, and on the syndicated TV we do, and when we got Channel 5. And I wanted them to watch the Raw show and the SmackDown show and the pay-per-views, because that's where they're trying to go. And just look at it like, set them down like in their matches, like a coach would look at films. Well, Golden didn't like that. He wanted them to work hurt. He wanted them to take 52 backdrops all the time, and he's an asshole. Okay, that's all he can say. There's no respect for this business and the people in it, and he shouldn't have been in that position to run the company at all. So all Kevin Kelly knew was what he'd bring Kevin in, and Kevin would come in, and Kevin, all he knew is what Golden told him. So Terry'd fly, you know, he'd fly in, pick him up, take him out, strip bars and everything. Cut that, because the man's married. You know what I mean? Kevin is, whatever. You know what I mean? Treat him like he's Vince. And all he knew is what Terry would tell him, and the guys would go try to talk to him, and Terry would turn it around. You know what I mean? And a lot of guys got fired that you could be seeing on there now, let go because of Terry Golden. He got about 15, 20 guys fired. You know, he did, and liked doing it. And I'm one of them. And that's okay. But I was there 6 months, about what I thought it'd be. They paid me for 9 months, so, you know. But yeah, those guys, got to work out with those guys, work with those, you know, a lot. And you knew that, you know, Spanky's crazy. He's doing good now, and he's doing real good, Spanky is. Joe, a lot of them, some still going, some not. Who else? Scott Vick was in there, 7. I guess he's up here in Louisville. Who else? Victoria. Molly Holly, they came in for a while, were there, and I guess that's about it.
You mentioned him earlier. One of the places you worked now for the past 6-7 years for Ian Rotten. Your thoughts and everything on Ian Rotten?
Yeah, I remember his first show. I worked with Reckless Youth there, and I'd worked with him before at Dennis's, and and loved the match and loved working with him. And a bunch of hungry guys was wanting to do it, boy. And he had a lot of guys he was training. And I remember watching Cash Flow punch out some of the marks. Remember the first show I was leaving, and all the chairs were in the ring, and like Cactus and Terry did. And who come out under was Pondo. I go, Pondo, you're the damnedest thing I'd ever seen. I come in and ask him every night. I'd say, Pondo, what kind of match you in? And he'd tell me, you know, Christmas tree, barbed wire, and everything. Him and Ian worked together a year every Thursday. God, it drew me. At that bingo hall, people crazy, riot, crazy, man. Throw beer on you. They serve beer there. They always drew good there. And worked for him. Like I said, every time I got fired, he'd call me and let me know. I didn't even know I got fired yet. You know, and he'd go, hey, Trace, heard they're getting ready to let you go. Love to have you. So I call him. I go, when am I getting fired? A couple months. Yeah. So sure enough, a couple months, I get fired. So he'd always book me on Thursdays. But I worked for WWF part-time for them in '96. And if I had Thursdays open, if I had nothing there, which normally I did, and I worked for Ian, Smoky Mountain, I think, if I'm right. I think I was working Smoky Mountain some too in there. So I worked for Ian, and then with Paul E. And, you know, everything, he always used me and always put me with guys to teach them. He always had a bunch of hungry, good young guys, one of the best dressing rooms you've been in. Always had a lot of fun. Look forward to going there. Still do. Hang out and want to see him make it. And I think it's real cool that a multi-million-dollar company sure worries about him. They do everything they can do to shut him down. They can't do it. They can't do it. So if there's any way, I dare something to hit what I'm trying to do because I want to help him. I want to help him. Always had fun there. And at the other building, I used to call that Afghanistan. You're safer in Afghanistan. You are. You're safer in Afghanistan or Iraq than you are there. A lot of guys would be scared to work there. But boy, now what I see, he's got a lot of good talent comes in. You agree with that, right? I mean, I see a lot of guys. He's helped a lot of guys' careers. Guys like Hero Punk and Ace, Cabana, you know, what's that kid? Chris Sabin, you know, the whole crew. Corporal, Mark Wolf, Too Tough. God, who else? There's unreal. That Dino Bambino kid. Jerry Lynn comes in and works a lot there, right? I mean, Al Snow used to come in a lot. You know, a lot of guys, a lot of good talent. He's brought a lot. Terry Funk. There's so many more. Chucky Smooth, Danny Daniels, Truth Martini. Those guys, you're real impressed when you watch their show. And you just wish that you could do something to help him because he's trying to stay alive, and he's a warrior. And like I said, he always put me when I got fired. There's a lot of other guys I can't think of, and you know, but it's always a cool crew. And I thought the nicest thing I ever got in 20 years in this business when they gave me that plaque. I almost cried. I didn't expect that, but that was cool. And you remember things like that. Hope I can work for them when I'm 50. If I can still walk, you know. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Still is. A lot more to do. Just getting started with that. Just getting started with that. Jim Fannin, toughest ring announcer in business. I was telling that. Praise Act, you know. Praise Act. Hardcore word, Praise Act. You know, commentate, manage, do whatever you need. Real smart. Great commentator. Real impressed. Real impressed. Real impressed. I think, you know, you can do something with that because he's got between the ropes. He just needs the backing around him and be able to advertise, and that's all about backing. He definitely has a good eye for talent and has respect for the business and knows the business. Is a student of it and loves it. He works closely with y'all, and like I said, I've a couple things I'm working on. God, I want to help him. I want to make it go. I want to make it go because he's a guy that'll take a chance that doesn't take any shit, and I think that's cool. I think that's real cool. I'd like to see guys like Punk and all of them boys, Hero and all them guys, and you know, Mark and Todd, Bull, Crazy, Bull Pain, Nut. You work with a boy, I put BP on there. You know you're going to fight for your life. Nicest guy in the dressing room. You work with a boy, you're going to fight for your life. He is coming. but everybody there, you know, and is hardcore and tough and loves the business. And it's always, I mean, you're there at 2 o'clock in the morning and you enjoy every minute of it, and I can't wait to go tonight. Okay, I have a blast there. A lot of fun. Favorite place to work. I call him my favorite promoter, best roommate I ever had. I just tell you know, you always remember that. Hey, when you get fired, man, that ain't much fun. You know, and you're pretty down on yourself. If somebody calls and leaves a message on your voicemail, it makes you smile. You think, you know, you remember those things. And then when you get there and you see all the hungry guys and they want it bad, and they all have jobs, support the rest, and you go, man, you just wish you could do something to help them with this is what they did. They could get up, and where guys like Mark Wolf didn't have to work 3 jobs. You know what I mean? You know, so that's what I want to do.
We'll touch briefly on MECW and what that was.
John Collins. Oh God, oh John, boy. He talks more shit than a cow can eat. You know how you can tell when John's lying? When he opened his mouth. I hate to say it. You know, I hate to say it, you know. But, I mean, you could help like John. When he come to business, I mean, he lied to you before God got the word. You know what I mean? He would. I hate to say that. But he ran that main event. But the thing about it is he took some, you know, he'd get backers, he'd get people the money that were interested in doing something with our business, and he didn't know how to run it. Like I said, I can't run McDonald's. John sure couldn't run wrestling. He'd get the tickets the day before. He would. He'd get tickets the day before the show, $1,000 tickets, rent 2 limos, fly them first class, fly them into that Evansville airport. We'd go up there, pick everybody up, party, drink in the bar. You know what I mean? Drink in the bar right there. That's expensive in an airport bar. Go to the show. Half of them didn't work. It wasn't even his show. It was Eric's show. The boy that runs Evansville. John got none of the gate. I mean, you know, and then we go back to the bar and those guys got their money. Those guys did. But the young guys didn't get it. And they take off in 2 limos and these guys aren't getting paid. I'd scratch and I'd put out fires and had no water. And, you know, New Jack's first day there. Boy, John has a Hitler meeting, and I remember that. And he says, okay, you such and such is one of Joe Bailey's boys, bald-headed kid. I can't remember his name. Nice guy, but I can't remember that. You know, he goes, oh yeah, you're working with New Jack. He's going to beat the shit out of you. He's going to squash you 2 minutes. You got a problem with that? And the guy turned around and quit. You know, he just walked out. I was just walked in. And I thought, you know, I sit down and go, what am I hearing here? Look up, and then Eric comes running down and tells everybody that the guy went off and trashed MECW, all that, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And the guy's out in the car, and his wife or girlfriend's taking him, and they pump New Jack out, and he's out. And I'm squirming through, I'm trying to talk to New Jack, calm him down. God, a SWAT team. But that's the way John was. He loved it. He loved to stir fights with the boys. So he loved to stir trouble. He just loved to cause trouble. Brought in, a lot of guys paid him big. Kurt Henning brought Kurt in, always like Kurt. Barry Windham, who else? Sandman, Public Enemy, always used them. Who else? CM Punk, Dave Prazak, Colt Cabana. Yeah, right? Always talk about them. And who else? Of course, Ryan, Chase Stevens, is that what he works as now? Chase Stevens? Glacius he was in. And a lot of guys, I mean, but you know what? I learned how to put out fires with no water. Sure did doing that. Like kind of working as an agent and all that, and learned a lot of things. Had to try to fix a lot of situations. Marcus Bagwell, brought him in, and you know, just try to make the best of whatever you could, because I had a little deal with him and I worked independence around it. But he just couldn't fly straight. I mean, he scammed guy. If you owed money, and you know what? I'll say this because it doesn't matter, because I've had a lot of trouble because of him. Con man, crook. Okay, and it ain't that I dislike, but it's a fact. He scammed a guy up in Canada for big bucks. $712,000 that could have been used toward doing something in this business. You see what I mean when I say that? Now, that's what I don't like. So if you owed $3,600, he'd tell me you owed $7,200. He'd scam them. You may get your money, maybe. If he didn't get the 72, he'd take your 36. And I mean, he scammed a lot of people, and he's paying for it now because he's going to prison. He's in Oklahoma now with the Security Exchange Commission got him, the FBI got him, and I'll say this right on this interview because that's what's wrong with the business. The non-wrestling people run it a lot of times, and they get a hold of people with the finances to do it right, and they want to do it right. And you know what it hurts? It hurts the boys, and so I ain't down with that. So, John. And you know what else can I think on John? I guess, but yeah, it was. And you know what I hate is because it hurt. I don't know if I have a decent reputation. You try to, but being you're guilty by association with him, and that's all I ever hear is people link me to John Conlon. God, you know, I wish you wouldn't do that. And ain't that I don't dislike him personally. It's professionally, and he's a crook, and he's paying for it now. What's bad is that his family is paying for it, his wife and 4 kids, and that's a shame. And I'm sure that'll get back to him, whatever, but there ain't nothing he's going to do about it because he's in federal pen. He's going down the river without a paddle. You knew it was going to happen. You can't float like that. You'd see things that he'd do, and what sucks is that people that had the money to do something with this business, he had a chance to do something. He didn't know how. He didn't want to. He just wanted to scam money and make money off of it, you know, by being a mark. That's pretty much it. Yeah. He did.
One of the things you got to do when you were in your retirement for a while, you got to work on a movie, The Last Castle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool. Just sent in a picture and a resume, and they called me a couple weeks later. Robert Redford was a star, and James Gandolfini, Sopranos. It's cool to watch how they set it up, how they retake and do, and they work on the same scene 2 weeks, perfectionists. They'll do 4 months of a movie and edit it down. They'll use a lot of do a lot of scenes they don't even use. You know what I mean? And a lot of things. I mean, they don't put it in sequence. It's how when they, you know, when they're filming it. I mean, like the last thing we did was this little scene where his daughter come to see him, and that was at the end of the movie shooting. Showed at the first of the movie. You know what I mean? You know, but the cameras and all the different things that they do, and the way the business is run, entertainment business, you know, and learned a lot. The people that did it was, what's it called? God, what are they called? Steven Spielberg owns them. I can't think of it. Of course, oh man, I can't think of it. DreamWorks, yes. And Rob Lurie was the director. It was cool. There was a guy there that was like an agent and make sure everybody was in place. And he said something that I always remembered was because he knew all the extras' names, you know, and he treated them with respect. He treated them by name, everything, and he was everywhere, and he'd get things done. He was real good. He didn't mess with the assistant director. He said, to get respect, you give respect, and you'll get it back. Then the guys will kill for you, do whatever you want. And when he was around, the morale was good with guys, and he knew how to run it, you know, and I remember that. And that's when I met heard from John Collins. Steve Dunn called me, and I was on break from the set, and I think we went one time and ate or something, drank beer, and he paid us, and then so we did that a couple times, you know. But anyway, but doing the movie was a lot of fun, and learned a lot, and how much preparation. Those guys work hard. They work 16 hours a day, boy. They do. And to do a movie is hard work. I was just an extra. I was one of the prisoners in it, and I was in a few scenes, but I missed some that could have got me in a lot more scenes because I work wrestling. I just do it on a wrestling schedule. I'd get $100 a day, you know, and it was fun. Had the gym there, is at the old Tennessee prison, and they had the outside gym. You could work out all day, eat, and, you know, eat free, you know, and go hang out, play cards, watch TV in between takes. And a lot of times I'd go watch and see how they shot the film, watch the stuntmen work. That was cool. Those guys were real good. Matter of fact, one of the stuntmen was a guy who used to work in the business. You may know the name, Gene LaBelle. Beat up Steven Seagal. He really did. Steven Seagal was first doing movies and was strong-arm guys and beating up stuntmen pretty bad. And this guy buzzed him and said, look, take care of him. Said, they're feeding him. It's going to make you look good. He got smart with Seagal, and Gene LaBelle beat him up, kicked his ass pretty quick, too. One of the guys asked him, said, "Does that really happen?" He said, well, he said, I'll say this. He said, Steven Seagal is a nice guy. He's a pretty good fighter. That's all he said. You know, but yeah, that was experience. Those guys are good. Watch them guys stunt.
But before we wrap this up, a couple names just throughout the years that we didn't get a chance to mention. About Jack Briscoe.
I never met him. He was like one of my idols growing up. I met Jerry Briscoe and worked for WWF, but he was like one of the first guys that I watched that I remember that made me want to be a wrestler because I thought that he was tough, I thought he was good, and I thought he was a class man, you know, all the way. Bob Armstrong was in there too, but Jack Briscoe was one of the toughest ever, from what I heard. Mike Graham told me that Jack Briscoe could whoop Carl Gotch, could whoop what's his name? Carl Gotch. He could whoop maybe Malenko. He could take him, you know, in a shoot. You know what I mean? Matsuda, and Danny Hodge, and that's saying something. He said Jack Briscoe was the man. So because those guys were animals, they really were. But yeah, Jack Briscoe didn't take no stuff. Man, he was something else. Great worker. Had a lot of respect. Wish I could have met him. Wish I could have met him.
But Ricky Morton.
Yeah, knew how to get over, knew how to sell, knew this business. Used to travel with him. I've known him for 20 years, and knew how to get over. Learned a lot riding in the car with him, listening to him, because he knew this business up and down. A lot of fun to be around. Just so hilarious. So hilarious. Him and Robert Gibson had a great run. Always helped the young guys. He did, and I'm sure he's still working. He's still somewhere talking trash right now, just like I am. But I love him. I like seeing him. Hope he's okay. He's got a basketball team, 2 referees. I got a basketball team. I get that straight with the kids, you know.
But his partner, Robert Gibson.
Yeah, another one crazy, funny. Hey, you know, Tommy Rich, guys like that. Yeah, Robert's funny, but Robert knew this business. He's crazy. He's a nut, and he knew how to get over. He knew how to draw money. He's been there and done it, and I guess he's still working. Talked to him the other day. He's getting ready to go play bingo. I call him back. He's a good friend.
But PG-13, Wolfie and Jamie.
I knew Jamie when he was 13, running around yelling kayfabe, you know, gold all over him. Actually dressed nice. I told him, I said, Jamie, before you got in the business, you dressed nice. And Dad took care of him, you know, bought him cars, everything. I said, now look at you, nuts, flip-flop. You know what I mean? He's crazy. He'd drive me every Tuesday to Louisville. He'd get more stuff in a week. I said, Jamie, I live a boring life. But, yeah, hey, he knew how to work. He knew how to get over. Him and Wolfie had a good run. And at one time, they were over hot in this business. And in WWF, Vince really liked them. Jamie passed out, slept 4 hours. His first day, Vince walked over him. You know, he came in. And, you know what I mean? You know, in the floor. Challenged Ken Shamrock, he did. He goes, hey, come on, Shamrock, come on. You big shoot fighter, yeah, come on, grab his right here. And Shamrock didn't know that he was one of the boys, you know. He just look at this guy, you know. But it was a lot of fun to be around. And Wolfie had some personal problems. Now Wolfie's doing great, right? He's on TNA with Slash, and got a good job, head of security at some company, and he does graphics on the computer, and got custody of his little girl. And he's got a good wife. And he's doing good. Good friends. Jamie called me the other day. Oh, he's just crazy. No, he's a nut, but he's a classic, and I hope he's okay. I worry about that boy. He got thrown in jail. He called me. He's telling me how great jail was. I said, Jamie, I've heard a lot of guys go to jail or into prison. Ain't nobody ever put jail over. You know, but then the next time we went, he was in maximum security. He'd tell you, he was in maximum security, and it wasn't a cakewalk for him. It wasn't no picnic. So he was in the movie. He was in that movie, Last Castle, and he'd have been in a lot of scenes. He probably got a line. He probably got the actor's card, whatever. If he just came to work, he wouldn't come. He'd get mad, leave, hang out. He'd come a couple days, and he wouldn't. They really liked him because he's such a character, you know.
How about Mick Foley?
Yeah. I knew of him was Shane. Shane lived with me in '88 in Birmingham in Continental, and Shane and him started together, and he's talked to him on the phone a lot, and he's telling me about him. Then he came in Continental, and I can remember working with him in a street fight. It was Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden's partner. He worked twice every night, get extra money, and he just wanted to work. He loved it. Get juice every night. Nobody really did that back then, you know. And I can remember us doing a street fight match out by the ring in Dothan. He went to shoot him into the chairs, or he went to shoot me into the chairs, and he went reverse it. I went, and nobody, you know, and he said, reverse it. I was like, what? He goes, reverse it. Turned around, shot him in the chairs, he went upside down, took out about 8 rows on ringside, which you could because there wasn't many people there. It was all right. It wasn't that bad a house, but you know what I mean? It was all right. And nobody did that then. He was like hardcore before it was cool, you know. And had a lot of heart and loved the business. Him and Gerbil, like I said, Shane and Cody all started together with Dominic DiNucci, trained them, and was around him there. And then him and Shane was on the road, WCW, and Shane would call me from the road, and Cactus would be with him. And I remember Cactus said he took that drive in Birmingham to Atlanta, and he said his best drive he ever took because Eddie Gilbert got him in WCW there, and had great runs. What worked there, then what did he do from there? Did he go to ECW? Worked WCW first, then went to ECW, then he went to WWF, court, right? Isn't that kind of what he did? Yeah. He had a couple runs in WCW, didn't he? Went to Japan a lot for Victor, IWA. Remember watching him and Terry Funk in IWA, Japan, for Victor. And, God, barbed wire matches and exploding and all that stuff, everything they did. God, he's crazy. I remember a good story on Cactus and Terry. They did the death crawl to each other, the Japanese fans, you know, around. I'm standing there watching. I'm begging him to get out of that barbed wire. He just wrapped all up in it, eating it. You know what I mean? You know, crazy. And they got up to each other, and Terry's going, Cactus. He goes, Terry, Cactus, Terry. You know, they kept doing it. And the Japanese fans, they don't normally react. They go, oh, yeah. Just when they're talking, you're going, wow. So they got it. They did it and crawled up each other, and they did the handshake, and they go, oh, yeah. And I heard Terry call. He goes, sucker me. Sucker punched him right there, and Cactus jumped and got it, put the boots to him, and they were, I mean, I've never seen the Japanese market get heat. You know what I mean? That got heat. And, yeah, he wrote that book, you know. And he was always smart. People didn't know that. He was real smart as a whip. Loved the business.
How about, since you mentioned him, working for Victor? About something?
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, I like working. Victor always was okay to me. He had wings and he had IWA. And I remember Axel and Ian over there, and they did good there. I don't know what happened with that, but I remember calling Cornette and trying to get him in there. And but Victor always, I guess I worked about 10, 12 tours for him in Japan. I guess his thing's doing good in Puerto Rico now, right? But he was always okay to me, and you know, he was a good businessman, and I guess he still is. You know.
I guess you also worked some for All Japan. Any few thoughts on Baba?
Yeah, like New Japan, top-notch group, class organization. It was then, '93 for Mr. Baba. We got to work with Kawada a lot, Kobashi, Mozawa, Taue, Akinama, is that his name? Yeah, Akinama. And Amori, all those guys. Jumbo was hurt still. Stan Hansen was on top then. Dr. Death was there when Dr. Death, Doug Furnace, Danny Crawford, Phil LaFon, you know. Let's see, who else was always on the tours? Johnny Ace, Joe Deaton, Danny Spivey, you know, all those guys. Patriot, can't think of his name. Patriot. Del Wilkes and Jackie Fulton, those guys, good guys we run. But yeah, they 3-week tour there, you've done something. Anytime you work in Japan, you do any tour there, you've done something, because you work stiff, work hard, travel a lot, you work about every day. day off, you just sort of die. You're wore out. But yeah, it was Dr. Death's partner a lot on the first tour there, because Terry had went down and was in a coma. But learned a lot from Doc during that tour. That's when he really stepped it up. But man, he used to have classic. We used to see classic matches with him and Kobashi and Mizawa. And I remember watching Mizawa and Kawada. Mizawa and Kobashi worked with Kawada and Tale in Budokan. And great fall. They always had classic matches. Yeah. Kobashi, I thought, was the best one of them back then. I don't know how he is now. Great work.
Any other thoughts on Stan Hansen?
Stomp on mud hole in there. Is he still working?
No, he retired.
Thank God. He punted me right back here. I got hit with a big sledgehammer in a fight a long time ago as a kid. He kicked me in the same spot. I thought he paralyzed me. Him and Bruiser Brody kicked me harder than I ever been kicked in my life. I hope I never get kicked like that again. I've been clotheslined for him by him in the States. I've been clotheslined for him in Japan, and it's tougher in Japan. I tell you, you just hope for the best because he can't see. I was going to the ring. I was their partner in a six-man one time, and with him and Ted DiBiase, his first tour after he was out of WWF the first time. He ended up going back. But some mark made a mistake of hitting Stan in the shoulder. Bad mistake. He tore up all ringside trying, "Where you at, you son of a bitch?" And he's running through, just tearing, ripping chairs, bull whip, everything. Gets it, and you got to get out of his way if you're a partner too, because he's stomping around, just rampage, back, and he was in good shape then. I mean, he went 40 minutes with Mizawa. He was 44 years old then, or something like that. He went a long time. I remember that at the Budokan. And I wasn't there. I mean, I heard about this tour before. And he goes, "Watch the reach on this thing. Take that bull whip," and he'd go across the ringside, hit them marks, and they love it, man. Knock them goofy. Yeah, love it, And Vader was like that too. Tear up the whole arena. Him and Yoko, he was Kokina then. Tear up the whole arena. And but Stan would get off the bus. He was always up front, and we got off the bus. Everybody step back because it'd be all that crowd right up on you, and he just bull rush them, getting all the "get out of the damn way," just kicking, stomping, knocking them out. He's like, wow, it'd break the monotony. But I worked with him a lot, and one of the stiffest guys I've ever been in the ring with, and was in great shape. But if you had to fight for your life, but you could have a hell of a match with him because it was a shoot. I mean, you fought God. I tell you what, they brought him in, and he worked. Ole got mad at because Luger tried to get Ole fired. I'll just tell you, he did, because Junkyard Dog beat him up. I saw that. He did. He kicked his ass too, and I liked it. Luger's all right, he's cocky, you know what I mean. But he kicked his ass. He kicked his ass up there where Wayne Gretzky's from in Canada. I remember that. Well, Luger tried to get him fired, so Ole said okay. He didn't get it done. Ole brought in Stan Hansen. He didn't have to tell him what happened. Stan gonna beat him up anyway. It don't matter. That drew the boys. You know what I mean? First pay-per-view, he beat him with his finished clothesline and nailed him. And they worked with him every night. And they ended up having great matches. Luger red from head to toe. And big Stan. He was coming.
How about Bruiser Brody?
Hey, got one more Stan Hansen.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, I just got custody of my son. Flew from Louisville, Jacksonville, Florida. Plane got delayed. You know what I mean? No rent-a-cars, all sold out. Didn't get a reservation. Called a cab. Got changed in the cab. Didn't want to miss my match. Didn't know who was winning. Didn't care. You know what I mean? And didn't want to get heat. I wanted to work. And jumped out of the car, hustled right there. Mike Graham told me, he goes, "Your match is in the ring right there." And run out, and Stevie had Brad. Brad was going to work twice. Stevie and Brad were working with Sid Vicious and Stan. So, and I come running up on the right there, and I go, "Brad, I got it. Go get a shower. I'm good. We're good." He went, "Thanks, man." It's like, yeah, right. Well, Sid was working with us a little bit, and Stevie was in the ring with Sid. And I think I did the old thing where he tagged me, and he had the arm, and I'd come off the top, axe handle off the top, and I ran over and nailed Stan on the apron. Bad mistake. Steve, I went back to Sid. Stan, he said, "Look out!" Here comes Stan. He tackled me from behind, and we just went, back and forth, and the place got with it, and then I fought for my life. And Steve and I both jumped in on him and did, you know what I mean? You know, but boy, he was just in great shape, and he was just coming all the time. And I think I had taken the power bomb from Sid, clothesline from Stan, power bomb from Sid, choke slam or something, and I survived. But I think one time I worked with Stan in Japan, and the finish was Mr. Baba hits me with a boot, and believe me, at the beginning of time, you take a bump, like, you know, best bump you can take, Mr. Baba, for that big boot. Well, the finish, they were doing this finish a lot where he hit you with a boot and you stagger around, which you normally did, and Stan hit you with the clothesline. Well, some way, Baba was the legal man, and that's a big thing in Japan when you get the pin with the legal man. And Stan told me in the ring, God, you know, I mean, when you're in there with him, you know, he hit me with a chair, about paralyzed me. I just my back was crooked, and I just got over that. And he goes, go on and go down for the boot, meaning go on and take the pin right there. Well, he shot me into Mr. Baba. Mr. Baba hit me with the boot. I staggered around, no Stan, because Baba was legal. Stan was out of the ring. So that was probably the hardest close. I was the only man in history who didn't go down from Baba's boot for the finish. You know, yeah, so I didn't get another tour there, you know. You know, it didn't happen. And then Stan shot me in, and I turned the wrong way. I can't remember on his clothesline. They told me I turned the wrong way, and he about broke my jaw. But Bruiser Brody, I met him one time. He came in for a week, and he just beat up Luger before we come in. Luger wanted to call the match or disrespect him or something. He crawled out of the cage. Whatever. It's happened. I ain't knocking. That's what happened. I ain't worried about Lex Luger. But anyway, none of them. But Lex crawled out of the cage. He knew who Brody was. You know what I mean? You knew who he was. Well, him and Sheik would book themselves together a lot. See, him and Abby. But Brody going in them territories and not necessarily with a guarantee, or I guess he would get a guarantee. I don't know. That's his own deal. He kept it himself. And if it was good house and he knew he should, he'd hold him up more money. He would too. He'd jack him up. He didn't care. Big guy. 6'6", 6'7", about 280, 300. Didn't do the juice, nothing. You know, just a big, strong guy. Had that far away look. He looked through you. Quiet guy. Stomp your ass. I watched him and Sheik in Miami work, flight all the building, tear everything up. Everything wasn't nailed down, and it was over. Bruiser Brody went 10 minutes. He turned over one of those. You ever see him concession stands with the wheels on them? He turned it over. I saw him do it. You just sit there and you're like going, God, this guy's nuts. He got so much power out of that. You know, the first time I remember when I was a kid in college watching wrestling, he'd come in, beat up everybody in the ring, beat up the ring announcer, beat up some of the everything. He was crazy. You couldn't control him. Nuts. Nice guy in the dressing room, real quiet. He walked out of the ring, forget it, man. He, you know, but he did. He turned over a concession stand with wheels. You ever see one of them things? They're big, and he did that. He did two of them. He got so much power out of doing it, he did the other one. And then we did a pull apart with him and Kevin Sullivan, and he kicked me. It kicked me up under, like right up in here. I thought he broke my chest, my ribs, everything, and just lifted me. And I think I come up about 5 feet. I had to. I felt like I was in the air forever, and come down on them steps and took a cactus bump down the steps, you know. And I don't think I've ever been kicked that hard. And I hope I never do again. You know, yeah, Bruiser Brody. But I was in Japan, and we were working out outside with Vader and Buzz Sawyer, and Steve, myself, and Manny. And when Sakaguchi come out and said that he had been killed in Puerto Rico. And from what I understood, they stabbed him and the man lay on the floor all the way through, and the man laid on the floor 90 minutes. And he still didn't die. They didn't get an ambulance to him. So, you know, that's what I heard. I know guys that were there. And he was a god in Japan, I'm telling you. But he was the first guy that ever jumped from, I don't know who he was with first. New Japan, then he jumped to All Japan or vice versa or whatever it was, but he did that. And he had heat with the New Japan office, and I can remember Sakaguchi grinning, telling us that. I remember that. I didn't think that was cool. But you're in their territory, you're in their place, and you're 7,000 to 8,000 miles away, so there's nothing you can say because the man's gone. So, real good man, loved his family. And the only one he's scared of is his wife. He was a rebel.
How about Shane Douglas? Shane.
He's called the social butterfly. He'd work out in the gym with us. He lived with me. He showed up in Dothan. I think he had his little car up north in Pittsburgh. Brad told him to hook with Steve and I. He lived with us for about a year. Had a lot of fun. He was a hell of a baby face in the day. He was. Eddie Gilbert had the book then and really liked him. Gave him his name. I guess Missy did or somebody did. And used him real good. And they did that thing with him and Sid. And he's a good friend. Good guy. We always stayed in touch. Still do here and there. Had good runs in the business. Smart. English teacher, you know. And he used to call me a lot when he first went to Atlanta. Him and Johnny, the dudes thing. And you know, I always stayed in touch pretty much. And then ECW, you know, and then of course he went to Atlanta, and I still see him around. Still see him at XPW, and he's trying to get that thing going. And I think they got a couple offers on the table with some money people. So I hope that goes through, and I hope it works out because I know he's into it hard. And he's never booked nothing, I don't think, before. So he's learning the hard way. Got to go do it. So, and I think it's good they're working with IWA. I just hope they get their stuff cleared up. I wish it wasn't like where everybody going against each other. I think Rob Feinstein's got a good thing. Ian, a good thing. A lot of them have a good thing, and there's no need for the animosity and the jealousy. Can we all just get along? But Shane's a good friend, and I love him. Hope he's okay. Worry about him sometimes.
About some of the other XPW the heads, Rob Black and Kevin Kleinrock, and yeah. Thoughts on that?
They love the business. They're learning the business. They're learning the hard way, learning what to do, not to do, and you know, and I guess that's pretty much all you can say. They're always all right to me, and I just hope they get all their dot their T's and I's, and you know, the business they have is not the wrestling business. It's run differently, so they got to learn how to do it. You know what I mean? And they got to let the wrestling people run the wrestling. Pretty simple, isn't it? He's crazy. Both of them are. Kevin works hard. He's working 80, 90 hours a week. You know what I mean? You know, that's you know how it is.
Basically, in closing, is there anything you'd like to say maybe to your fans out there?
I don't know if I got any. No, you know what? I get, like I said, and I'll repeat it, but I get more out of this business in helping guys learn how to do it and than anything I ever did for myself. And I just hope and pray, and anything I can do, and I'm trying really hard, is to be able to provide jobs for them, to be able to do what they want to do for a living and get to travel the world. Because, you wish you could hook it up where everybody could have the fun I've had. You know, I got to go to Japan 18 times. Got to go to Singapore, Malaysia, Kuwait, Mexico a couple times, Bahamas 4 or 5 times, Guam, Hawaii, Diego Garcia down below India, end of the world. You know, it's parallel with Australia. It's the #1 bombing spot in the world. A lot of what you're seeing now, the war coming out of there, the B-52s come there, stranded there 12 days. One plane goes in and out, DG, Hotel California, get in, can't get out. But got to do all that, you know, Canada, a lot of that. Worked for all the different promotions, got to a lot of work, got to travel the world, and just to be a country bumpkin from Springfield, Tennessee, to get to do that is great. And you feel so blessed that you got to do that, and you wish you could get that blessing on other people and help them get to broaden their horizons, I guess you'd say, and see the world, and do something that you love. Because, I mean, you know, I've had a lot of fun doing this interview. I had a lot of fun tonight wrestling. I wish that that was all I was doing was wrestling, hopefully soon, because I can't imagine doing anything else, because it's in your blood. They're, like I said, any guy, whether they like each other or not, they got one thing in common: they love this business, and they always want more, you know. And you sit around 15 minutes, it'll change. And I just hope that someday that it'll be where guys are begging for a day off. That's what it used to be.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.